Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
Welcome to the morning drive. Summer getaways we're talking about next. You will have noticed that the mercury has begun its climb. More and more of us eyeing an exit in the summer. Travel bookings are surging. This year, UAE residents planning perhaps smarter holidays and maybe paying closer attention to travel insurance amid rising costs and global disruptions. Joining us to discuss holiday savings trends, why travel insurance has moved from an optional extra to a mechanical must-have, is independent financial planner and licensed private pilot. Srikanth Pillai is here from the Continental Group. Srikanth, it's good to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you this morning. Welcome. So let's look at the data. First of all, are we seeing UAE residents spending more to get the luxury they're used to, or are we seeing people move more towards cautious travel? Because, you know, we're seeing some inflation, we're seeing some cost at the moment. Which is it? Or is it a bit of a mix?
Hey, hi, good morning. See, people are traveling actually. People are seeing traveling as a real part of their life, where memories are made. There is no doubt about that. But having said that, as you rightly mentioned, people are becoming more cautious with the place they are choosing to travel. Right. People are looking at mostly 3 to 5 days of holidays where they choose destinations. Probably they can get a visa on arrival or, visa-free destinations for UAE residents. And that also within a budget, mostly value for money. So I think in the last few months or the few years, the trend is like more and more people are traveling, but mostly looking at destinations which they feel is a kind of value for money, I'll say.
So kind of mid-range destinations.
Yeah.
I don't know, a few that come to mind, Georgia or Azerbaijan or, into Eastern Europe maybe.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
And again, for some people who are not looking for these cold places, they choose maybe Sri Lanka or Maldives or Thailand or even Vietnam, I'll say. Because it depends on your choice also. Like some people like the European weather and the food. Some like the Asian culture. So it depends. Again, mostly the budget matters and 3 to 5 days kind of thing.
Money always talks, doesn't it? I guess.
Yeah,
has the booking window changed at all? Are people trying to lock in, rates before the spike? Because there is a spike starting to happen ahead of the summer.
Yes. As being a financial advisor, what I have seen is like at the start of the year, a lot of people are setting aside a separate budget for travel.
Yeah.
And they know the complete list of leaves in the year, where they can club 3 to 5 days. They look for places. They try to make the bookings in advance with options for maybe making, changes in the flights or cancellation without charges kind of thing. And a lot of hotels also give options like you can cancel till the last moment. People plan in advance so that they get more value for money and maybe the leaves they can manage from the offices. So yeah, people are planning well in advance actually. Yes.
I have to learn to do that because I never do. I'm always last minute. But I just booked a flight for my daughter. She's coming out tomorrow. Yeah. And I was surprised. It wasn't as high as I thought it was. And I hadn't booked ahead for that. It wasn't at the level I was fearing, at least as well. So I suppose there's always hope. Insurance at the moment, and I'm interested in this because the insurance is a non-negotiable now, isn't it? It used to be a thing that maybe bought because they wanted to satisfy a visa requirement for a Schengen visa, for example. With the disruptions that we've seen over recent times, kind of the last year or so, technical outages or cancellations or extreme weather. How has the demand for travel cover changed? What have you seen?
See, I've been here for the last 12 years in the same industry, I'll say. In the last 12 years, it has changed a lot. I'll say not in the last 1 or 2 years. It has changed over the years. The awareness of insurance has increased drastically in the last years. As you rightly said, instead of just meeting the basic requirement for the Schengen visa, people are looking at travel insurance to cover the risk in the travel. Like in travel insurance, many people doesn't know the actual benefits which are covered other than the normal things people know, emergency medical expenses or travel delays. It's much more than that actually. You can cover the loss of documents if you are having any, if you get into any personal liability unknowingly, like it is covered. Any sort of personal accidents, it is covered. Even it can cover, you get into any credit card fraud or being mugged up by, while withdrawing cash from an ATM. Or even, if you are away from the home and there is a fire or any incident at home, even these kind of, claims to a certain extent, the travel insurance can cover. So it is sort of a, peace of mind while you are away from home. And people have started realizing that over the last few years, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, you're right, there's all sorts of things you can do. There are cancel for any reason clauses. There are all kinds of things that you can include. But it's that thing that so many of us kind of forget. I've literally been in a departure lounge and thought, I didn't get the insurance, and logged on and bought it just before I've flown before. But I think we're certainly seeing, there seems to be more awareness of the importance of travel insurance. Is that fair to say?
Yes, very much, yes.
Yeah. All right then. So from that, what are the biggest kind of travel insurance mistakes people make before they fly, do you think?
As you rightly said with your example.
Forgetting to do it, yeah.
People see, actually there are two kind of requirements which people used to see. One is from the compliance aspect for the meeting the Schengen requirement. So they look for the basic 30,000 euro requirement for the Schengen visa.
Yeah.
They were not looking any benefits as such. Though the price difference between the various plans are not much, people used to just take the most cheapest plan. And they were not looking at the other benefits, like, say, what if the flights are delayed, if my baggage gets stolen, or I reach in a, delayed. So, and the emergency medical expenses, all these things you should be looking at actually. And many people tend to oversee that actually, I'll say. These are the common mistakes which I can see from my daily life. Actually.
Yeah, it makes sense. Do you think more families are buying insurance because there is this kind of heightened awareness over flight delays? We're all aware of disruptions.
Absolutely, yes. People are buying actually. Earlier, even if people are traveling to destinations where travel insurance is not mandatory, people are buying travel insurance because they are aware that there could be, flight delays or things which are not in their control, which they can cover with a very nominal amount, compared to the budget they are going to spend in the tour. So people are aware actually. There is quite a lot of awareness.
I think that's a good point, that, you spent all this money on your summer vacation, and it's not cheap. If you're flying a family of 4 or 5 to Europe, for example, for a couple of weeks, that's expensive.
Yep.
But scrimping on the insurance doesn't make sense because it's generally it's not a huge cost.
It's a very nominal cost compared to the overall budget you are. And so once you realize the kind of risk which you are covering with that piece of paper, or maybe an e-document, you don't mind paying that money. See, if you just see it as a cost or just want to comply, so then you will see it as a cost. But things do happen. Flight gets delayed, documents do get missed. So it always happens, actually.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? I've said this a million times, but I love the line. A wise man said to me once, insurance is such a waste of money until you need it. And
absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing to remember, isn't it? Do you think that there is a real surge in travel insurance starting at the moment? Are you seeing a real uptick in people applying, taking cover?
Yes. In the last, after the slowdown in March, the April things are picking up. People are planning for their trips in the summer holidays. We can really see that a lot of enquiries are coming for the travel insurances. People are planning. But yeah, the destinations may have changed. Instead of Europe, maybe looking for visa-free, destinations, probably 3 to 5 days kind of trip, which they can afford to actually. But there is quite a lot of surge actually. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think also travelers are prioritizing experiences these days? Because that's what we hear a great deal, that it is about, a safari, or it's about a particular hiking trip to a certain area, or an experience with indigenous people, whatever it is you're looking for, the experience aspect rather than luxury aspects, because we're at a time when the cost of living is high.
Yeah, that rightly said actually. See, we are living in a place in Dubai where you have all sort of luxury. There is no luxury which is not available in Dubai. So while you are traveling to a place, again looking for the, so people are aware actually. You have everything here. So if you're traveling to any place, even for Europe or any other Asian countries, now people are looking for experiencing that culture, their food, maybe a hiking. It has really changed actually. It's not about the luxury being in UAE. You're in a luxurious place. You have the best things available. So while traveling, I can relate that to myself. I travel with my family. I'll be looking for having the best local experiences so that my children are getting some kind of memories back. How lucky we are, and how others are, and so they can have some sort of concern for others, and overall sort of experiences actually. Yeah.
It's interesting that because it kind of mirrors the development of the UAE, doesn't it? I think in sort of previous years, 15, 20 years ago, you would look for, a luxurious holiday outside rather than, because it's now available here.
Absolutely.
I suppose
Absolutely.
everything is. It's kind of luxury. They don't do it like Dubai does.
Yeah, you can easily have weekend getaways here, for any sort of luxury you want. So it's not the real thing. But experiences, people are not buying, people see, if you're, by spending the time and money, you are buying experiences actually, being working with a lot of clients, being a financial consultant, I can see that the thoughts, while we talk to the clients, they mostly explain to me or discuss the experience they had with children, the kind of the local cuisines. So it's really good to have actually.
Yeah, no, I can see that. What should families check in the fine print before they look at a travel insurance policy? Because as you said, you can cover almost anything. It's amazing what is available to be covered. You hope you don't need it, but you might. There's always that possibility. But what should you really be looking for when you're planning your vacation?
See, in a travel insurance, the most common thing you will be looking for is emergency medical expenses in case you fell ill in a foreign country where you don't have that kind of money with you. Because then you should be looking at the flight delays, what kind of things are covered, whether if your baggage completes, how much is the coverage. Then you should be, looking at if you're going to Europe for a skiing trip. So is your, insurance covering that adventurous activity kind of thing? So I'll say these are other things are pretty common, but I have seen people missing out this part. They are going to enjoy, skiing, and the travel insurance is not covering that adventurous activity, things like that.
Yeah, and it's understanding the definitions as well of the different activities and making sure that it applies. If you're, snowboarding, does it apply to snowboarding as well as skiing? It's always worth understanding that. And I guess as well, I mean, if you're a resident here in the UAE, you have your visa, you have your work permit, whatever it is, you have by extension medical insurance. That's a prerequisite. But you also need to be aware that there may be a need for additional cover. You need to check your existing medical insurance policy, I suppose, before you go, and make sure that the bolt-on from the travel insurance offers, emergency support or evacuation, whatever it is that, might be necessary depending on where you go. That's something you need to think about.
Absolutely right. See, as you rightly pointed out, a lot of medical insurance has a geographical coverage, maybe UAE or GCC or Southeast Asia. Tomorrow you are traveling to Europe. If you get sick or get into an accident, without a proper travel insurance cover, you will end up spending a lot of money from your hand. Some that kind of unexpected, accidental kind of things. A travel insurance can cover very well. It is even possible to arrange a direct billing in many of these countries if you are falling ill without paying from your hand. So, for paying a small amount of money, and if you see that value, the kind of risk that document can cover, you'll be buying it. You'll be buying it.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? And I suppose these are the things that we don't think about. But if you have a good level of travel insurance cover on top of your existing medical insurance cover, it may be, as you say, possible to handle a direct billing situation should that arise, because more often than not, your medical insurance policy would be pay and then reimburse, wouldn't it? And that, presents its own issues.
Yeah. See, the medical insurance, there could be two ways. Some medical insurance doesn't cover at all Europe.
Possibly, sure.
And other medical insurance, the local providers here, all of them will be having this pay and reimburse, which is also by in itself a big process, I'll say, because you have to have all the documents from a foreign country. And whereas a travel insurance, it is possible if you call their emergency customer care, they will be guiding you to a network hospital where it is possible to get a direct billing. Or even if it is a reimbursement for some reason, it is much more easier to actually get it done.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember as well, certain countries' medical insurance costs are particularly high.
Amazing,
and often excluded. The US or Japan come to mind.
Yep.
If you just joined us, you're listening to Mira Business FM live from Dubai. Which destinations, Srikant, are seeing the strongest demand from UAE residents? What are people looking at? What are you seeing?
See, I can't relate myself to that. See, if you want to go to a trip, the first thing you'll be looking at the ease of getting visa, and or you get a visa on arrival. So in the recent months, more people are traveling to the destinations like Georgia or Azerbaijan, or I'll say Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, or, Uzbekistan is also coming up, and other places to this side, to the Asian side. If you're looking, Sri Lanka, Seychelles, or this Maldives, I meant to say, and or Thailand. So I'll say 3 to 5 days, 5 to 7 days maximum trip within a budget where you feel you are getting value for the money being paid. Actually, I think more or less people are going to these places now.
Okay. You're a financial planner by trade. How much earlier are you seeing people planning and saving for holidays? Because if the attitude has changed from we're going to get away from the summer, it's more about the experience. It may be that it's going to cost a little bit more. It may be a little bit more difficult to do. You have to put more effort into that, and that requires more planning. Are you seeing that in recent times?
Yes, definitely. Because as you rightly said, if you book a flight ticket early with an option with zero fees cancellation or no change fees, it is always cheaper than buying the ticket in the last 1 month or 15 days. People are as I mentioned, like once from January, people have a complete plan of the amount of the number of holidays in the year. So wherever they want to plan, they properly plan. I have a lot of clients who plan the number of holidays in the year. They set aside, they try to make a budget, they book well in advance so that they get the best deal, the best value for money. And in case they are not able to travel, still they are able to cancel the tickets or make changes in the tickets without a cost, actually.
Right, okay. So there is that little bit extra effort going in.
Definitely.
Particularly if it's like a bucket list thing. If you had to fly from Fujairah to Dubai, like you can, for example. I was wondering, are you seeing an increase in the length that people are going away for summer holidays because there are more relaxed kind of work from anywhere policies in the UAE? Because it's pretty standard to work from home once, twice a week, whatever it is. Has that affected holidays at all?
Yes, the pattern has also changed. Now many of these companies are giving these options for work from home, and companies are being flexible, actually. So, I'll say there are changes happening, and it will be more evident in the coming months based on how the situation shape, actually.
Okay. What about younger travelers or solo travelers? Is that changing at all? Because we're in a nation where demographics have changed over recent times. Of course, are spending patterns changing for younger people traveling? Maybe the more adventurous traveler?
Yes, younger people are very smart. I'll say the Gen Z or the Gen Alpha, whatever you call.
They get the most out of the deals, for sure.
Yes, they look for options. As I rightly, as I earlier mentioned, actually, they also look for the number of leaves in a year at the start. They want to plan wherever they want to go.
Right.
They look for the best deals they can get. They look for cheaper hostels. For the amount of money they can spend, they would like to optimize the experience. Because there are places where you can get a stay in return for a service without paying for it, actually.
Yeah.
They are superb in exploring all those options, using all the AI tools. It's amazing, actually.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? And knowing how to do it. My son's in Scotland, and he's just been, where's he been this year? He's been in Spain, he's been in Jordan, and he's on a pretty tight budget. And how are you doing this? But it's engineering it to get flights at really odd times, all this kind of thing. What do you think? What are you seeing in terms of how people are spending or looking at spending this summer on their holidays? What does that tell you about kind of wider consumer confidence in the UAE? Is there a relationship there, do you think?
Yes. So there have been tough months. Like the last few months have been tough. People are really looking forward to traveling. They are really adding up experience. They have the confidence in the market and the rulers here. Like they are taking the right steps. Market is coming up. There are some challenges to be sorted out still. People are still setting aside budget for the travel. People are looking forward to maybe reducing the budget, as we earlier discussed. Actually, maybe choosing the right destinations in a 3 to 5 day kind of trip, and creating more value for money. But people are really positive, and they are really looking forward to traveling.
Okay, so budget luxury, shorter getaways becoming more common. That kind of 3 to 5 day. I mean, you mentioned that a couple of times. So you're obviously seeing a lot of that. It's a hard question, this, I think, but I'm just wondering if you can answer this. What kind of last minute travel risks tend to catch people off guard? Is there anything that stands out?
So I have really seen people about to travel and they realize that their passport is not valid. so that is one of the most funny part which I have really.
That's a classic. Yeah, I know. And the other thing with that is to remember, isn't it? For lots of places, you need at least 6 months validity. Your passport may have 3 months left. I'm fine, but
Absolutely.
That's not the case, is it?
True.
Yeah, I had a feeling that might be a big one. For any people listening or maybe watching, family types, currently looking at a massive airline checkout screen, what kinds of hacks could you put forward to save on a trip without sacrificing the experience? How do you find the deals or get the best for your money?
So you should actually. Okay, so if you always take a connecting flights, you can always there are a lot of websites where you can really work around connecting flights, or there are websites which will give you a better rates on tickets, which are vacant until the last. If the tickets are unsold, the airlines give a discount. There are portals where you can look for that, and you have to book early, a bit early, and select the destination smartly. So there is no one single hack, but you have to work around the available tools.
It's doing your research, isn't it?
Yeah.
There was always this thing that you should clear the cache in your browser before you check for flight prices.
Absolutely. You should. So many of these browsers give this option of incognito or kind of private search option.
Yeah.
You should use that actually.
You should do that.
Yes.
Okay. And that you're going to get a better deal by doing
Obviously.
that. I get that. I just always wondered if that was a thing, but clearly it is, I suppose.
And to add, see, now we have been speaking about all these places. Like my phone is always hearing that. Now I get back to my phone, I'll get advertisements of all these places: Georgia, Armenia. So the phone is always hearing actually. So it gives you.
Our phones are going to be recommending Georgia and Azerbaijan.
Yeah, so you'll be getting
Kyrgyzstan.
a lot of deals with respect to that for sure.
You never know. I'm up for going to any of those places, I've got to say. Is there an off-peak within the peak? Is there a sweet spot in July after maybe the early school rush demand? Is it worth waiting? If my wife and daughter are going back early July or the first week of July, which is kind of likely, and I'm thinking of going back later, is it worth waiting to book a flight later on? Is there a possibility of a better off-peak deal?
Yeah, it is possible because the schools are expected to close around end of June, probably first week of July.
Yeah.
So then there could be the initial 10 days, there will be a rush. So if you delay the flight booking a bit late, maybe the end of June or first week of July kind of thing, the rates are quite unlikely that it will go up. And it is also possible that you will get a better rate because the travel rush reduced from after July 10th, it reduces till the end of July or the first week of August. It is pretty normal. So it's quite likely that you should get a better rate if you look for tickets end of June or first week of July, most likely.
Usual story, isn't it? More demand, more price. Yeah.
Or it is even possible with all these AI tools, even possible that you can create an algorithm. It can run for you and get you the best rates. It can give you a pop-up when the best rates arrive. It is even possible to do that.
So you say all these things. I'm fairly AI savvy, and you can create an algorithm, and I just think, oh, that frightens me.
in Cloud and all, it is possible to create an agent which can do this work for you and give you the pop-up when the best rates arrive. Yeah.
That's so great. Have your own AI travel agent. You can shout at it and everything. Brilliant. What final question for you, Srikant? What practical advice do you have for travellers if they're looking to book a summer holiday?
I'll say you should look for traveling. You should travel actually, because you should create memories. You should have a budget. You should have an emergency fund. Look for a place where you can get an easy visa if you have not traveled much. Then plan in advance. Book flight tickets where you can do a change of date or get a refund without charge. And Airbnbs offer the best rates for accommodation, and look for a value for money. I'll say more of.
And the travel, the emergency fund is interesting, but also remember how much should be in an emergency fund. By the way,
See,
how should you work that out? It's different for different people. I get that, but
yeah. See, actually, it's not with respect to travel. All of us should be having 3 to 6 months kind of
right.
cash available with us for any sort of emergencies, covering the basic expenses at least.
Right. That's good financial planning. I like that. I've heard that a few times. And make sure your passport's in date as well. Yeah,
Sure.
that's very true. Srikant Pillai is an independent financial planner with the Continental Group and a licensed private pilot as well, which I'm very impressed with. It's been good to have you here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
More interviews, more highlights coming soon across our YouTube and our Instagram platforms. And you can always stay updated through mirabusiness.fm, the website.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio. Mira Business FM. The sound of success.
Good morning. Mobility and transportation next. Dubai's transport transformation is accelerating. Etihad Rail is edging closer to passenger operations. The Dubai Loop Underground project is drawing global attention. Major metro expansions are reshaping the city's future, and with congestion pressures rising alongside population growth, the UAE is betting big on infrastructure to keep the economy moving. Transport expert Martin Tillman's back with us on the Morning Drive here at Mira Business FM with hopefully the latest roundup of transport developments, what they mean for the likes of us commuters and business and growth. Good to see you, Martin.
Hi there. Thank you very much.
Welcome back. So the real action is happening on, and I suppose under the ground as well at the moment, or will be. The UAE is betting big, as I said, on infrastructure to stay ahead of the population. So much happening. Is it an exaggeration to say to you that we're now seeing Dubai entering a new phase where transport infrastructure is central to economic growth?
I think we are seeing a major transformation in how transport is moving forward now in the UAE as a whole, I think. So first of all, in the past, I would have said that transport it was quite reactive. So if I was thinking about the Red Line, for example, it was there to sort of serve the airport. It was there to serve the main corridor, the Sheikh Zayed Road. And it was put in afterwards. You know, the developments had come up, the growth was there. There was a need for additional transport to come into play.
Yeah.
We're now in a phase where Dubai is a much more mature city than, say, 2009 when the metro line originally came in. And we've got significant population growth since that time. And we've got huge projected high population growth as well. And to do that, it's not business as usual. It's not just we keep building roads to do that. There's a finite limit to what you can do in terms of roads. And that's why public transport has been seen as not just one that's reactive, but now perhaps we're looking more proactively. We're thinking ahead, we're planning, and it's not just about serving existing developments, but it's also about unlocking opportunities for new development.
So it's less about easing congestion, more about looking ahead, isn't it? So let's look at some of the developments recently, because I suppose Etihad Rail is kind of the big one, really, that we're all kind of looking at. Most of us have seen the freight trains. We've seen how some of those have been diverted. That's probably the wrong phrase when it comes to railways, but for supply chain assistance in the last couple of months, for example. But we're getting closer to passenger operations. How does connecting Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the Northern Emirates and ultimately further around the region fundamentally change, I suppose, here, the commuter map for businesses?
Well, Etihad Rail is an intercity, primarily intercity service.
Yeah.
So its market is orientated towards the movement between cities, and here between Emirates. So the key markets will be between Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and dare I say, Dubai, Sharjah. And I guess some of that is going to be down to what you're talking about, the commuter service. I can imagine there will be a huge potential demand for that Sharjah-Dubai movement, for example, based on traffic flows that are currently seen. The question then becomes, how much are they being charged for the tickets? How often are the services? And what is the integration of those stations with the area around it? So, for example, the Dubai Etihad Rail Station, the Sharjah Etihad Rail Station, how do people get to and from it? That's your front door, essentially, for your city.
Yeah.
So it's a slightly different market. I would say it's, commuters is part of it, but I would say it's more about potentially tourism, linking up to Fujairah as well. I just feel like it's got multi-purposes rather than just, when you think of metro, perhaps maybe more is about the daily commuter movement.
I just have this romantic notion in my head, I think, about maybe being able to use it and get my season ticket. I don't know why I look at it that way, but I do. But it's remarkable, isn't it, that we've seen this come seemingly so quickly, and from that we're going to start seeing an impact on where people choose to live, where people choose to work. As well, I think it's going to have that. There's going to be a real cultural impact.
I think the key here is it's very interesting because coming from the UK there, and especially I came from London. The focus on the integration between transportation, public transportation, and development, and the actual need, whether you need to have a car or whether it's actually perhaps inconvenient almost to have a car because transport is so readily available and parking and traffic is so difficult, so that it sort of changes the balance. And I think it's inevitable. I feel that transition is happening across the UAE as well, that we're going to start seeing that move, that public transport with all the modes that we've talked about will start to really transform the way people think about transport here. And I think one of the keys you mentioned there about where people live is very interesting. Yeah. People can start to think about, and I think it's already happening, to be honest. People are already thinking, how far away am I from a metro station? Is it within 10, 15-minute walk? Is it an easy walk?
Yeah.
Is it a smooth and shaded walk, for example, that can get me to and from my destination so that perhaps I do not need to buy a car? And I think those thought patterns are going on, and the evidence from developers is that any properties within, say, 10, 15-minute walk of a railway station could have a potential uplift in value, say. I've heard ranges between 10, 20, even 30% uplift in value just by being close. So there's a developer incentive to do it as well.
You're right, it has happened. I did some work at Expo all those years ago now, and I would kind of park and ride. So I'd park at DIP and then get the couple of stops to Expo. And one thing I did notice was I would sort of nod at people who were doing the same thing, and you kind of got to know people. So it's been happening for a while. Amazingly, it's 5 years since Expo. I know. So Etihad Rail is going to connect the cities. Within Dubai, the Dubai Loop Underground project has lots of people talking, of course. It's generated huge, probably global headlines, to be fair. As I understand it, it's 93 kilometres. It's a climate-controlled cycle and running highway. That's what I've read. Is it a lifestyle luxury or is it a mechanical necessity to ease the roads? What do you think?
So this was a concept, as far as I have read. I've read the same articles and stories. Yeah, it's a concept. I think the key idea, the fundamentals of it are strong, which is to create essentially a cycle superhighway, a freeway for cycles that is segregated, that doesn't have the safety issues of being alongside or mixed with vehicular traffic.
Yeah.
So if I think about whether I would feel comfortable cycling to my work or my kids to school, I'm thinking primarily safety. I'm thinking, is it an uninterrupted, is it separated from traffic flow, before I think about any other reasons why I may or may not choose to let them do it or for me to do it. And I think that was the overriding thought behind that concept, to separate the cyclists away from the general traffic and to give them the freedom to move around without hindrance. And I think there are examples of similar, not quite the same elevation, but again in the UK, and I was in Holland a year or two ago, the same kind of principles apply of these cycle superhighways, but they're at ground level. They are at street level, but they are separated. They're kept away from the main traffic flow. And the last time I was in London, and I hadn't been for a few years, I was quite surprised to see how many people were cycling. And of course, in Holland, I was so impressed by the range of people that were actually cycling to and from.
Do not get in the way of a cyclist in Holland.
There is that.
Do not stray onto the cycle path.
And do you know what? That's interesting, right? Because then suddenly it's like, not cars, but people are worried about cyclists. And they even have traffic lights for cyclists as well now.
Yeah, it's a remarkable system. And if you do stray on, expect a punch from a passing cyclist. That much I do know to be true. Not that it's happened, of course. So, I mean, the loop potentially could be, there are a number of benefits to that. Obviously, there's the safety aspect. There is the health aspect that, that you're walking in a climate-controlled or cycling in a climate-controlled environment, or you get some of the scooters off the roads, or the kids on the electric scrambler bikes that are everywhere at the moment. So it could be a real transport breakthrough.
I think so, and you've touched on a few more points there, which is safety for me is the priority.
It's clearly,
but the second point, people often think, oh, it's the heat that stops people from cycling. It's not actually. That's probably not the top reason, or even the top three. It's more about, do people have access to facilities at their destination, at their origin? So, for example, do you have a place to store your bike? Do you have a place to get changed when you're there? Are there shower facilities? Just basic things and maybe some places where they might have cycle repair places. Maybe the bike needs a bit of maintenance while you're there. And then the other one, which sometimes surprises people, is in countries where cycling has not been so common, it's actually not so prevalent for people to know how to ride a bicycle. And so there is a learning path. So when we've done interviews of people about what would encourage them to be cyclists, I was quite surprised to find that some of them, of course, didn't know how to ride a bicycle. And so there was an educational part to it as well.
I hadn't thought about that. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing you grew up in a similar way to me, and it was learning to ride a bike is like a rites of passage thing when you're, 5, 6 or whatever.
Yes.
And all of a sudden the world opens up because freedom, off you go. Don't go back till it's dark.
Yes.
Kind of thing. That's an interesting point. The other thing that I wanted to bring up with you today, in terms of infrastructure that we're starting to see, obviously the Blue Line under construction, the Gold Line now unveiled, and the word that applies to these projects, I suppose, is mainly transformative.
Transformative, not just reactive, proactive, opening. For me, the key is opening up new areas.
Yeah.
And if I think about when I first came here 20 years ago, it was very much when we were planning metro systems, it was about just how can we plug it in to existing areas. And if I'm honest, a little bit of tension about, well, what is it going to do to the developments that were perhaps just going through that development process, and the interruption or the disruption of putting a metro station quite close by and how that was going to affect it. We've come a long way in the last 20 years. Now we're about how do we integrate the metro systems within developments so that it is an integral part of a development. And we would call this transit-oriented development, TOD.
Okay.
And this is where it's actually a fundamental part of the development. So by this, I'm not just talking about metro, by the way. This would also include first and last mile, like you mentioned, the scooters, the bikes, but also buses. You know, we haven't talked about buses yet, and there's huge plans for buses as well. And making sure that it is a fully integrated hub based on that higher density that you'd expect in those kind of developments, so that if you live in a community, a TOD community, you have your rail, you have the buses, you have your first, last mile, but you also have retail, you have your residential, you have your healthcare, you have your schools. And it starts to become its own little sort of environment, orbit, if you like, that people can come and go to quite easily.
Tell me about buses then, because I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm guilty of not really thinking about buses as much as I should. I'm from London, like you, so I'm very aware of how necessary buses are, but I drive everywhere. Unfortunately, I should
it's just
practice
not seen as glamorous as some of the other modes, right?
No, it's not. But I know that, I mean, the bus system here is fantastic. You can get anywhere if you know how to do it, like any bus system. But what are the plans? What's the future?
So the key ones are, first of all, the transformation from diesel to electric. So there are already orders in for electric buses. I believe some of them are already running on the roads at the moment. Obviously, expansion of the fleet, more buses coming. RTA is already purchasing more buses to come into Dubai. They also recently announced, I think in the last couple of days, an expansion to their bus on-demand service, which is essentially, if you know, of course, you know, the Ubers and the Careems, it's a bit like that, but on a bus focus, so that you essentially say, I want to use, I'd like a bus to come and pick me up, please, from this location, and then I want to go here. The idea is it's a bus, a small one, but it would come and pick you up, but it might have passengers already on it, and they may be going in a similar direction. Hope they're going in a similar direction to where you're going, and that route will then sort of work itself out through AI and sort of algorithms that will work out the most efficient route based on the people and where they're going to. And that's, the RTA has one, which is expanding, which suggests that it's doing very well. But what also interesting is there are private services also operating in Dubai doing the same thing. So there's a real, I mean, for me, the most important to have a layered transportation system. We shouldn't just be thinking rail. It's got to be rail, but it's got to have the full layered approach underneath: the buses, the walking, the cycling, the micromobility, shared mobility, taxis, etc. The whole system, and Dubai is getting there for sure, is when it's all together, that's when it really hums.
We've discussed how the metro is, drives property buzz, the potential return on investment. But as a transport expert, Martin, where do you see the highest return on infrastructure for businesses? Is it the big rail projects or in the kind of smart city transport systems, the digital systems?
And do you mean, by that question, do you mean how they benefit from those systems coming in, or more about how they can earn money through putting it into play?
I was thinking benefit, but I suppose anybody listening is thinking, I could earn money from this, so let's do both.
So I think from a business point of view, clearly time is money. And if people are delayed coming into their work for meetings or getting to businesses or getting to events, that costs money. So the more efficient, the more flexible a system is to carry those people is very important. Secondly is the movement of goods. And again, we perhaps tend to compartmentalize between passengers and freight, and we tend to think of freight as trucks only.
Yeah.
But there is an overlap in that sometimes we can look at how public transport can be used for the movement of goods, small goods, parcels as well. There are examples where maybe the vehicles are repurposed outside of peak hours and actually used for the movement of goods as well. So there are nice innovative ideas that are coming up. And in terms of businesses earning money, I think the potential is huge. I think as new developments are coming in, new rail systems, new bus systems, as I mentioned, private companies are now coming in to operate demand responsive transit, the bus on demand services. Other companies are operating the rail services. I think we're going to see more and more of that opening up to the private sector to operate public transit services, with RTA taking on that sort of operator, regulator type role, looking after everything.
What about autonomous vehicles? Because the goal, I think it's the 2030 goal, is 25% of all trips are to be autonomous. Where are we on that timeline? Because 2030 was around the corner.
It is, and they're actually not that far away because they include metro under that autonomous version. So, of course, the metro is fully autonomous. There's no drivers, as you know, in the metro services. There was an announcement about a month or so ago about the Boring Company, Elon Musk's company, where they've now, RTA has signed a deal with one of the big engineering firms to introduce, to start studying the implementation of this tunnel. It's a trial version. I think it's around 6.5 kilometers long, linking up areas around DIFC, Dubai Mall, this area. Yeah. And it's essentially a tunnel with Teslas running through point to point. And of course, they're autonomous. And the question I'm usually asked about that is, will it move the needle? And the honest answer to it is, what we are seeing is an implementation of more modes, more layers to the transportation network. Does it move as many people as a rail system? No, it doesn't. But that's not the intention here. The intention is about linking,
interconnectedness, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I like to ask this question because people always think about, I just want to get there as quickly as possible. And I think if we were honest with ourselves, we want reliability. We want to know if I leave my house at this time, I know I will get there in half an hour. Yeah. Right? And I want to know that it's seamless. I want to know that it's a smooth journey. And I want to know I'm going to get there at that time. If I'm traveling at 50 kilometers an hour or 80 kilometers an hour, doesn't really make that much difference as long as I know that's the time I'm going to arrive.
If there's traffic and you're moving, it's a whole lot better, even if it's slow, than when you're in traffic.
Yeah, and any disruption to your journey will cause anxiety and stress.
If you can see it move, it does make I'm with you. There's a lot of tech involved in this. We're going to see AI-powered bus stations. Transport systems are getting smarter. And if you're really going to transform, the tech's super important, isn't it?
It is. I think the key one is the human interface. So it's great. I mean, a lot of it should be hidden. A lot of it, as users, we shouldn't even know. We don't even need to know.
I shouldn't really ask the question about the tech. It should just be there.
It should just be there, right? We don't need to know how our phones work, essentially. We just want them to do what we want them to do. Yeah. And the same with public transport. The key is the interface. So there's something called Mobility as a Service, MaaS. And this is about how we bring together all the various transportation modes. And by that I mean not just the rail and the bus, but even walking and cycling and scooters, all into one condensed, merged system that brings everything all together, so that when you want to make a journey, it will give you all the options. And if your ticket will be all the way through, there's no need to buy multiple tickets. Your timing will work perfectly. You will know exactly, there will be clear direction from one point to another point on any transfers. The idea is that it removes friction.
Yeah.
For any journey, friction is what causes the problems. If we can remove that friction, then it becomes so much easier for people to use alternative forms of transport.
I wasn't aware that you transport bros had so many acronyms. So we've got TOD, MAS.
I've got a lot more than
I bet you have. I've learned something this morning. There's one question I have to ask, and you must hear this all the time, and I guess we'll end here. We've only got a couple of minutes left, but it's the $1 million question, I think. Can we realistically, how do we do it? How do we convince people to leave their cars behind?
I don't think it's a question of, we shouldn't be demanding people do it, right? This is not I don't think this is a push. I think this is more about a pull. We're trying to pull people towards that sort of the opportunities and the options being there. Right. So for me, it's the choice. Provide the choice. It's almost like build it and they will come. If we have the opportunities there, if it's clear, if it's frictionless, if it's smooth, if it's reliable, these are the key messages that we need to make sure that people hear. And once people have tried it and understand that it's more reliable than perhaps, like you said, getting caught in traffic, then we'll start to see the changes happening. There are push factors as well. Tolling, for example, road tolling, parking charges. So all of these have potentials to make it more. Sort of make it, it's more of a tool to help to try and balance that, to say, let's weigh the scales a little bit more towards sustainable transportation.
It's finding the balance, isn't it, I guess?
Exactly.
Martin Tillman is a Middle East-based transport planning and mobility strategy consultant. It's good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you coming in. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to like, share it, leave a comment, follow, and subscribe for more as well. This is Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio. Mira Business FM.
It's the morning drive. This is Mira Business FM. What is happening in the jobs market right now? And choosing culture over cash. The governor of Mackenzie Jones. See?
Love that.
David Mackenzie is here again. Nice to see you. So I wanted to ask you something, first of all. How about the Insta ad? Have you seen this? And this is a guy talking to himself, basically. Yeah. And he says, boss, I quit. Then it cuts to somebody who's obviously still him, slightly more boss-like, maybe wearing a cap, I can't remember.
Obviously.
And the boss says, okay, good luck finding a job in this economy. And then it cuts back to employee guy, and it says, I already got one, and it only took me 1 week.
Rubbish.
I know. And then the story sort of unfolds, and it becomes go to Google AI Apply, and let it do the work for you. And it does like customized cover letters and sends out your CV to everybody. So I sent this to you last night, and you sent me a few notes back. But what did you think of that as a recruiter? Because I know you're such a fan of Easy Apply on LinkedIn. I just looked at that and I thought everything about this. I love the fact that people find work. That's great, but everything about this is wrong.
Well, two things. It doesn't take you a week to find a job. There's just no way, because the whole process takes time.
Well, the internet says you do.
Yeah, there's lots of things to it.
Do you think that's not true?
No. Like lightsabers aren't real, but we'd all love one.
Can you do the... I bet you can do the... I knew you'd be able to do it. That's the mark of a human.
It is, absolutely. But in all honesty, it's a bit clickbait, that. And
yes.
I try to look at that app. There is an app, you can download it. It's like 360 dirhams, something to download. But it's everything wrong about why people are applying, because all it does, it says it'll fill out your CV how you think it should do to the advert you've put in.
Yep.
It fills in all and it will send out without you knowing. So you're going to get your CV sent out to 50 or 60 companies where you've put in there you think you're right for. So what's going to happen, I suspect it'll send to the same company 3 or 4 times. So as soon as the AI or the screening tool sees that, it'll automatically block you. If a line manager sees it, you've applied 3 times for 3 different jobs, the first thing they're going to go, this person has no idea what they're good at.
Yeah, well, I mean, all right then. So completely a waste of time. And
absolutely. Not only is it a complete waste of time, the whole thing about a job search is about being specific, is about taking your time, about being focused, and about adding value to the job you're going for. So I put an advert out recently for a chief commercial officer. You had to have maritime experience.
I saw that.
Did you?
I read that for a specific reason, because I thought, I'll give that a go. Not tried that before.
I rest my case.
Career change coming. I read that because you've talked about this a lot, that, read the bump and apply yourself to the task of applying for a job.
Yep.
That's kind of the key. So that's one I read.
But that particular example, I got about 700-800 replies for that.
Wow.
Of which I got people going, I'm not in the maritime industry, but I think I'm suitable for anyway, and they're working in a retail outlet. And I'm like, but you're not even remotely relevant for it. So what you've done is you've sent an email, you've taken time out of your day to do that, knowing you're not right for it, and I'm never going to probably come back to you. I did go back and said, you need to read the advert properly because you're not suitable for this role. These are the reasons why. They come back to me going, well, have you got any other roles I can look at? Immediately in my mind, I'm not going to work with that person ever.
Yeah. Okay.
Because now what I do get is I get candidates messaging me going, look, David, I know you've advertised a few roles. There's one from Maritime. I'm not suitable for that, but this is my skill set. This is what I'm good for. Would you mind keeping an eye out? Absolutely. I love people like that because they've taken the time to write to me. They've taken the time to frame what they're suitable for, and they haven't just specced a CV into a completely unsuitable advert.
The thing with people that are just spam, and basically that's spamming you. It's just I'm trying to connect. I don't know what to do. You've not sat and thought about it. And it kind of warns you about that person. Because one of the things, the only thing I think I've learned in life is that I'm still learning stuff, right?
Yeah, which is good.
But I'm still open to learning. And I think if you're that person that doesn't know how to apply yourself to applying for something, you've kind of stopped learning. So what's the point of bothering?
Because I think this is the culture today.
Is it?
The culture is that an easy apply is, it's my pet hate. And most recruiters, actually most clients, hate this product on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's very much, you press a button, it'll just apply for that advert. You don't have to go through a screening process. You don't have to spend time actually doing it. I think in many ways, there's a certain scarcity in a role. So when you have to work to do something, the rewards are much better. Let me give you an analogy on this one, running.
Right.
Everyone can run. Everyone can run. Everyone can do a marathon. I know mentally some people don't think they can, but you don't start from day one and go, I'm going to do a marathon. You say, right, for 12 months, I'm going to start doing 1K a week, 2K second month, 3, and you build yourself up. It's a bit like when you're job search. You don't just go and go, right, I'm looking for a job today, I'm going to apply to every single company I want to work for. What you should do is go, right, who do I want to work for? Who are the senior managers? Where does my role fit within that group? Who should I be connecting with? Let's raise my profile on the internet, on LinkedIn particularly, where I've got some skills. It's a long-term process, and that particular app is everything about applying that is wrong. Every single thing on that. If anybody ever buys that app, they're never going to get a job.
I agree with you. I thought the ad was just funny. That was kind of my main reason for sharing it, because it was just this switch between the bloke who changed his shirt or something.
But also you knew it would wind me out.
I knew it would get to you, yeah. But it's interesting that these things happen, and I just wonder if there's anything in any of this. The other thing, you say everybody can do a marathon, and I think there's probably truth in that. The bigger question, the better question is,
do you want to?
Not everybody wants to do a marathon.
And that's exactly the point. Yeah. But go back to the job seeking. Everyone could potentially do my job as a recruiter. Not everyone's got the right skills or potentially wants to do it.
That's exactly right. Everybody can do this job because this job's just talking.
Yeah, I think you're underselling yourself a bit there.
But you know what I mean. On paper, that's how it is. But there's nuance to everything, and it's understanding that. It's accepting that.
But this is why the easy apply is bad, and it's a terrible tool, because what it does, LinkedIn did it because it pushes more volume through their network, so they can say, well, if you place an ad on LinkedIn, you're going to get an average of 1,000 responses. What they don't tell clients is 90% of those are complete rubbish.
No, true, but that's probably not the best sales pitch.
No.
So
I'm never going to work for LinkedIn.
I was going to contend, you just blown your chances there, haven't you? The other thing with Easy Apply, the one thing I think with Easy Apply that is worth kind of talking up is very often LinkedIn will sit and say to you, LinkedIn will sit and say to you, what am I?
It's like Timothy the mower.
It is. It's very like that. But it will recommend you certain things.
Yes.
And it will say, you can apply easily for this job. So there is a filtering system of sorts.
But they're two different things. So what the algorithm does on LinkedIn, which is super smart,
right.
It looks at your profile, and you can put at the bottom where you think your skills lie. Like mine's recruitment, yours would be broadcast, radio, interviews. And then
that's exactly what mine is. Well done.
Plus there's more. I'm pricing. So, and what it then does is it scrolls through every live job, and it will send you ones that fit those particular, and they're pretty much, I reckon they're a 70% match. That's not to do with Easy Apply. Easy Apply is you as a candidate can go on to any advert. I could apply to be a petrol tanker driver or a tugboat captain, and I can just press that's quite a good job. I'm doing some work for a company at the moment that do tugboats. It's fascinating.
Oh, you would be such a good tugboat captain.
I think I'd use the horn too much.
Well, that would be a downside, but no, you'd be good.
Do you know what? I'll give you a little stat. So I had 911 for years, and I've always loved them. And about 10 years ago, I took it into the dealership, and the horn had broken.
I thought you meant phone 911. I'm thinking, why is it calling the emergency service?
Car 911.
What's going on?
I went into the dealership, and I said, what's happened? I said, the horn's broken. He goes, no, it's not possible. And I said, look, it doesn't work. And he goes, oh my God, there's only 2 people in the whole of the Middle East that have ever broken their horn. And my wife went, I told you so.
It's part of an exclusive club. You could start a tugboat captain's club with a broken 911 horn.
But going back to where we
That's
started.
a special skill.
So you can apply, I could apply for a tugboat catch just by pressing easy apply. And the client on the other end of the line, why has he applied? He's a recruiter.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is generally you're looking at what's been recommended to you, so you would easily apply the jobs that are recommended for you. Or a lot of us would. Maybe not all of us. Maybe no, really? People just spamming?
So what you do on LinkedIn, this is the problem.
Right.
In theory, that's exactly what you should be doing. When it's a recommended job, we go, look, that looks, I reckon 80% I can do that job. I've got the right skill set, the right experience, the right background.
Yeah.
Apply.
Yeah.
What happens is people go onto LinkedIn and they search for marketing jobs in Dubai.
And then it's just easy apply. Right, okay, got you.
And it says in the marketing, you've got to have retail experience. So you've been working in oil and gas, and you apply for that role. That's the problem. This is the issue we're facing with LinkedIn at the moment.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it doesn't. The thing is, it's causing an issue in the Middle East where you're missing good people. You're missing good candidates because too many people are applying, and you're spending so much time screening the response. This is why people ask why AI is taking over the assessment and acquisition of candidates. It's because of this, because too many people are applying. We have to have some sort of mechanism that screens it down to a manageable amount that we can properly assess.
How important is it to, when you upload your CV, resume to LinkedIn, that you use their screening tool to make sure you've got the right phrases in there? Because, see, I have a real thing about jargon. I read lots of people's kind of précis about themselves, their intro paragraphs, and I just don't understand what they're saying. It's all thought leadership. It's all stuff that I think, I find it really confusing. So mine is absolutely not that. But the other day, I got sent you fit this role, and I thought, you really don't know me very well. I really don't want to do that. But it said, why don't you brush up your CV and make sure that you're using the appropriate phrases? And I haven't done it yet. And I looked at mine and I look at others and I think, I'm so far away from you. One of the things about this job was, if you had this phrased in this way, you would be an even better fit for this role. It was an 80% fit, and I'd bet a 95, whatever it was.
Keywords.
So that's exactly it, yeah. How important is that?
It is and it isn't. It is when you're using algorithms or you're using AI software to search for candidates. Right. Absolutely. Because what you do when you search on LinkedIn, you can use a thing called Boolean search. So you can put, I need a presenter who works on the radio that specializes in business that has been in the UAE 20 years. And what it'll do, it'll find those different links, right, and it'll pull up the best people who've got somewhere in their CV those phrases.
Okay. So it's not necessarily about using the right phrases, it's about using the right
terminology.
The phrase is only terminology. It's not necessarily that. It's about, what is it about?
No, I think what you're trying to get at, and I do understand where you're going on this, there's a lot of acronyms that people use if they're in recruitment. So, for example, we use time to hire, we use recruitment ratios, we look at successful fill rates and things like that, which are very recruitment terms. We use a thing called PRC, which stands for Potential Recruitment Consultant. It's an industry term. So you can put those in your CV.
So that's for somebody who is not yet a recruitment consultant. You've got a term for that person who might be one.
PRC, yeah.
Wow.
SINT candidate interview.
That's remarkable. Okay. I suppose all industries do it.
IOP, interview on premise. Old school.
Interview on premise?
It's from the 80s.
Oh, you got to bring that back.
No. I'm trying to leverage myself out.
You're trying to go forward.
Exactly.
But it's an interesting dilemma, because I always think I want to cut through to what is actually there. What do you do? What do you offer?
Yeah.
But I want to do it so that it could be found. And my fear would be, and I'm not looking for anything at the moment, I just think I'm probably quite behind the times when it comes to LinkedIn, in terms of, describing what I do, the skills I may or may not have.
Well, what we do, to really give you a very basic view of how we search for candidates, we look at the types of companies that we want to target. So if we're looking for, let's say we're looking for a oil and gas company, so let's mention Baker Hughes. They're a big one. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll say Baker Hughes, similar companies, Schlumberger, Exxon, Chevron, etc. Then we'll look at, right, this person needs to be a marketing director upstream. So already you're defining where this person comes from. They've got to come from one of these set of companies, this job description, and 20 years experience. What will happen is then LinkedIn will find that person that's got the closest matches to that.
Right.
Now, if I'm looking for somebody who works in the broadcast industry, we'll look for Mira Business FM. We'll look at all the other radio company shows around here. We'll look at presenter, 20 years experience, business talk. It will find you. No matter what your CV says, because your CV will say Mira Business FM, lead presenter, business, and it'll have a price. It'll say Dubai Eye, etc. So we'll be able to find you. So you don't have to fill your CV with jargon. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Plain English is very good because then recruiters go, they're talking about what they've done and what they've achieved. That's the key thing.
Okay. But you do need to think about the way you present yourself and the way the skills that you highlight. You need,
Yes.
the point is you've got to do the work in the first place.
You have
haven't
to
you?
sell yourself.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, not putting what you're good at, you're part of one of your topics should be interviewing, leading industry figures like David McKenzie.
I like these little whispering asides that you're doing today. These are good. They're working for me.
Farage is going to edit those out, isn't he?
He will, yeah.
It's my second
It'll
voice.
it'll just be a gap. And we'll be like, oh.
What's he saying? That's because I'm losing my voice, I think. Yeah, but that's what I mean. You have to put in your CV what you actually do and what you've actually achieved. Then whatever happens, algorithm, a human, a client will find you.
Okay. That kind of doesn't lead us to the main topic of the day.
But
I'm going to
by the way,
jump.
don't use that app. It's terrible.
Fair enough. So AI apply, whatever it is, it just amused me. What's happening in the market right now? We were going to get to this last week, didn't get to this. And what's interesting about this is, well, okay, you need to know what's happening in the market now, but this is a LinkedIn post by a lady called Elena Supacheva. She describes herself as an HR talent partner, principal consultant, connecting leaders in tech, financial services, manufacturing, and FMCG, building teams that thrive and careers that last. And she works for you.
She does.
Yeah. It's an interesting article, this.
She's really good.
Because, you've talked a lot about Elena over... I don't mean that. That sounded wrong. You've spoken of her in glowing terms.
Elena is my business is focused on specialists. So I have Farhan, who does my banking side, is an amazing guy. I have Elena. I have various other people in my business. Elena is an HR specialist. She works in the same space as me.
Right.
And she really understands that space. She really is an expert in it. And what she does, she tries to share her thoughts on LinkedIn. And she has a massive following, both clients and candidates on LinkedIn.
Well, you can see why, because she's one of these people who's able to grab your attention.
Yeah.
So her opening statement is this, and I look at a lot of things. I read your latest article. We'll come to that later as well.
Did you think legend when you read it?
I even went for the abbreviated version. I was like, ledge. That's how I appropriated that one. Her opening gambit in this article, David McKenzie, is I'm getting this question on almost every candidate call. So I'm kind of on the hook. I'm like, well, what is it? What is the question? Which is a smart way of doing it. And she starts to unfold. Here's what, from what I'm seeing across the GCC, it's not a slow market, it's a selective one. And she did that very clever thing of, there's the question, here's the answer, but I want to know more about the answer. And then it starts to go into details. And it was short as well, not too long, because my attention span is, I don't know, I've got a millennial attention span, and I'm not a millennial.
It's not you. The average read on LinkedIn is 3 minutes.
I know, it's all 2-minute, 3-minute reads, isn't it? But what she says is this, and I'm wondering if this is what you're still seeing. This is a couple of weeks old, this article. There is still hiring across banking, financial services. True. Fintech, digital platforms.
Yep.
Yeah. FMCG and manufacturing.
Slowing.
Okay. Semi-government and strategic hires.
Massive.
Huge. Okay.
Banking and government are huge.
Okay. So the difference, and this is what I wanted to ask you about, see if you can expand on this a bit. Companies are no longer open to seeing what's out there, in quotes. They know exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Tighter mandates, fewer interview rounds, but higher scrutiny.
Yep.
Less time to spend. And then less room for 80, 85% there. It's not good enough. Now,
What we call the wild cards.
You've got to fit.
Yeah, I mean, she's absolutely spot on. I mean, clients now, there still is, we're still doing quite well in this market. I mean, I think our RPO business is up quite a bit, which is our second part of our business, a much bigger part. Our exec recruitment business is down by a big chunk, I reckon about 30%.
Okay.
But what we're getting now, and this is a very interesting dynamic, we're getting more exclusive roles. We're getting roles that are moving a lot quicker, but clients are very tight on their briefs. So, example, I've got a role, I had a role for a commercial officer for a maritime business, and it needed to have somebody who had a really specific skill set in the maritime industry. I've got 4 people for it because that for me is a much easier brief to find because I can hone in on exactly the skill set they need.
Right.
The client has seen all 4, they're going to hire 1. Now, I got loads of people who worked in the maritime industry but didn't have tug experience or haulage experience. I'm not an expert in this, by the way. I learned this from the client. The clients are lovely. I really like working with them.
Tug and haulage.
This is my world.
It really is. No, I mean, I think it's fascinating because, every day's a new experience for you, isn't it?
What have I done this week? I've done education, I've done FMCG, I've done maritime, and I've done defence. See, we are sector agnostic. We're functional specialists, which means that all I do is I place HR and general managers.
Yeah.
Same with Elena. Farhan does banking, Dan does tech and IT. We've got various people in our business that focus on very key areas, but they cover every single industry.
So at a time like now, when you have this attitude to mandates that they are much tighter, there is much less scrutiny.
Yep.
There is a little bit more pressure on you.
Huge
I would
amount.
think.
Yeah, we have to get mandates sorted within 2 weeks now, maximum time.
And what would it have been previously?
Sometimes some of our clients take a long time. Usually we turn stuff around in a week to sort of 14 days maximum, usually a week.
Right.
If we get a mandate on a Monday, we'll typically have CVs screened, the top 3 to you by Friday.
Okay.
We're very quick, but because we know our market. If you come to me with an HR director's brief, I don't even need to advertise that job. We typically don't advertise it, roughly 80% of our jobs, because we know who the candidates are.
You know who they are, yeah. Okay. So Elena's next thing is this. She then moves to the candidate side, and she says, "I'm seeing 2 extremes: strong niche profiles moving quickly." Which is, backs up everything you've just said, and good candidates getting stuck in long processes with no clear outcome.
Yep.
Okay.
That's clients' indecision.
Right.
So we're facing an situation now where clients, if they've got a mandate to recruit, they've got the budget to recruit, they're almost taking too long now because they think there's a better person around the corner. Right. So we're finding a situation now where some clients, I keep going, well, this person's fantastic. They fit everything you ask, but we can have a quick look at it and see if there's anyone else. And what they do, they wait too long. That person goes. Oh, well, I want that person again, so we have to go back and do it again. So our clients, if you look at some of the ones we regularly recruit for, we're very honest with them saying, look, this is the best you're going to get.
Okay.
You have to believe us. This is the best. And they typically will move with that because we're advisors to them.
Right, okay. So we're back to that, kind of the original point that we were making earlier. Your profile, you've got to have your profile right, and you've got to be ultra targeted.
You've got to be able to be findable on LinkedIn. You've got to be in a situation where our researchers, when they search for you on LinkedIn and search for you on Google, they can find you because you've either posted articles, you've liked and shared comments, or your CV says exactly on LinkedIn what you do.
I've started to take your advice, by the way.
Are we talking about work here or other stuff?
It's a good point. At least in a dilemma. How honest do I want to be? No, with LinkedIn, I'm starting to celebrate things and do the insightful click and actually make some comments.
Well, you've been commenting on a few of ours.
I have.
But this is an interesting one. And
not rudely.
No, very good, very positive stuff. Because obviously we share your stuff as well. What you're doing there is we have over 500,000 followers on LinkedIn. We're one of the highest in the recruitment market.
There's about 75,000 people following you.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Yes.
He's famous.
Yeah, I'm not sure that infamous may be better.
Yeah.
But the reality is what you do, you may have, Mira may have, I don't know, 100,000 followers. As soon as you like and share on our post, or you share one of our posts, you suddenly enter into that 500,000. Our 500,000 followers can then see your comments.
Yeah.
Suddenly you've doubled the size of quadrupled the size of your reach.
Yeah.
That is the key thing. Always look at how you can expand your network beyond.
It's good advice, and it relates very specifically to what we're talking about now. So back to Elena's article. What she says has changed the most, and this is how the market is operating at the moment, how the market feels, how the market is. Hiring is more cautious. I'd say that's a given. Yeah. Fair comment, though. Candidates are more risk aware.
Yes.
And both sides are taking longer to commit.
Yes and no. It depends.
Yes and no, it depends. Not sure, could be.
Yeah, it's typical recruiter's answer.
Good.
Yes, if I can say maybe, I will do. If a client has got a mandate with us now, and one of the first things we ask, when do you need to hire this person by?
Right.
Well, the incumbent is leaving in 2 weeks' time, so this is hyper urgent.
Yeah.
We then know that they're going to make a decision quickly. If they go, well, look, we're just looking for the right person, that's going to be a long mandate. It's going to take time, because it's a bit like anything. Is when you, especially in this market, you go and look at a rental house, you see one you really like, you go, ooh, that's really good, but there might be others better. The fact of life is the highly unlikely. It's just go for the one you've seen.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with clients these days is too much choice. And weirdly enough, with good candidates, there's also too much choice. The candidates usually have 2 or 3 offers on the go at any one point if they're really good. So even though this market is scarce, that we are technically, we've halved our numbers of roles.
Right.
Good people are still finding good roles.
Which is positive.
Absolutely.
Which is good.
This market, Tim, we've been doing this long enough. I guarantee, he says cautiously, Q4 will be back out the other side.
Lots of people coming in here are saying exactly the same thing. We're coming into summer, so it makes sense. Elena then offers some advice for candidates. Let me just run this by you as well. Be clear on your positioning, because I do everything is no longer landing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's kind of a given, but I think it's worth saying again. Be transparent. Transparency is critical. Multiple parallel processes often create pressure and misalignment on both sides.
Yes.
Right. So just be upfront.
Honestly, with recruiters, our job is to advise you.
Yeah.
We are paid by the client, let's be honest about that, but we have to make sure you take that job. If you're in a situation where you go, look, I really like this job, David, and we talked about this last week, but I've got 2 others in the frame. I'm going, brilliant, thanks for being so honest.
Yep.
What it means then, I can make sure I've got people behind that person in case they don't take it, because I don't want to disappoint the client. But you are still my favourite. What I will say to you...
Showbiz rules.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love you the most.
I love you the most until you let me down.
Yeah.
So what I always say to candidates is, okay, tell me about those other 2. How do they stack up against the role I've got? And they go, look, the other one, that one's better. These are the reasons why. And they go, look, my advice is to take that one, don't take mine. Let me explain why that is important. I can convince you to take a job, but it may not necessarily be the right job for you. That's the wrong thing for a recruiter to do.
Right.
Because we are in a position of power, we can sell a company. And people come to us because they trust us. We must never abuse that trust. So what we have to do is we have to look at those 3 opportunities. If the one we've got is the best one, we tell them we think it's the best one. If it's not, tell them to take the other one. The reason being, they'll take that one, they'll get into a company we're not currently working with. In a year's time, that person will become a client and will brief us. We will make money in a couple of years' time.
Right.
It then gives us a chance to be very honest with our existing clients, say, look, I don't think this person's going to take the job. We need backups. We don't want the process to stall because you're banking on one person. Both parties are happy then.
Okay. And you're looking at a long-term future, long-term business rather than...
We're always, honestly, one of our core values is long-term relationships. And I don't think recruiters do that here. I think you have to support a candidate in their quest and be honest with them. But the candidate has to be open with you. And I think sometimes we feel that candidates aren't very open with us.
So transparency is critical. Move quickly when the right role comes. Good opportunities don't stay open.
Yeah, don't mess around.
Sound advice.
Yeah, I mean, it's, there's so many analogies we could give on that, but yeah, if I always say you will only ever be 80 to 85% happy with a job.
Really?
Yeah, because there's always the intangible. I'm moving. I'm a bit scared. I may not be able to do the imposter syndrome. I'm not 100% sure about. It's a much bigger company. There's always a sort of there's that.
That's a bigger variance than I would have thought. Actually, 15% of
85. I think.
Yeah.
85. So it's 15% is you're big. You don't know what could happen. You might go there and go, I hate it. I hate the commute. I hate the people there. I misjudged it. Remember, whatever happens when you get into a job, give it 6 months. Because it's like moving into a new house. Everything goes wrong as soon as you move into a new house, don't you? And you have to give it time. Things get fixed, and then it becomes a home. You start living in it. You start making it your own. Same in a job. You get into your office. You start getting your desk. You become comfortable. You see the people beside you. You start engaging with your boss. You understand how they work. Whenever you go into a new job, I always use this analogy. It's walk quietly with a big stick. What that means is your stick is your knowledge and your power and your influence and what you do, but don't use it to smack people. Just listen, understand for a couple of months, get a feel for the company, then start using your knowledge.
I really thought you were going to say, get yourself comfortable in the job and then start beating people with your stick. And I was like, this is
the metaphor, the stick of knowledge. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
I think people, I think this culture now, maybe not my generation, your generation, but some of the youngsters that we deal with who are late 20s, early 30s, they make decisions too quickly. Oh, it's wrong. I'm going to leave. You have to go through a process where it's going to be uncomfortable. It may not work. Learn from that and get better.
Sometimes things have to bed in.
They do. They always do.
Sometimes you have to adapt as well, and sometimes you have to change.
You made this point. I'm always learning. If you go into a company, you have to learn how that company operates.
Yeah.
You need to give them what you've got, but you need to take from them what's interesting as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. The last thing that candidates should focus on was this. Don't rely on one process. Pipelines matter more than ever right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, you may think that this job at Mira Business FM is your best job in the world. Have a backup in case you don't get it.
Okay. All right, then. There's a stark warning.
That's not from your boss.
Okay, I just hope he's not listening. He doesn't listen anyway, so it's fine. It's
Doesn't listen to my segment, does he?
Actually, he listens to everything. It's frightening.
I like that. Actually, that's because he's interested in it's his business, and I think
that is a good thing, actually. To be fair, but you don't. No, you don't. I say exactly what I want. Hiring managers. Here you go. At the moment, clarity and speed are now your biggest competitive advantage.
Yeah. If you're seen, somebody said the other day to me, I applied, I got an interview in the first week, and they offer me 2 weeks later.
Right.
I'm so impressed with how they are as a business. So what's happened is HR has hopefully taken how the business operates and transferred that to their recruitment process.
Okay, and good candidates have other options, so
Absolutely.
that's another little USP, isn't
But
it?
also, a lot of people get put off by the client's culture because of the interview process. If the wrong people are interviewing, there's no clarity, takes too long, there's no feedback, candidates switch off. And by the way, then they tell 6 of their friends.
I guess so, and I suppose if that's a good benchmark for what a company is going to end up being like, isn't it?
Glassdoor.
Yeah. Okay.
Glassdoor is a review site for companies. It's not used so much anymore, but it used to be used, and people before they had an interview used to go onto that.
Yeah. Okay. No, I've heard that before. I mean, that's the article, and I think there was a great deal in that made sense. But I liked the grabbing of the attention, and I think there was some real value.
Yeah.
In what she'd said.
Elena's a very real recruiter. She understands her market. She understands how candidates think, and she advises clients. And clients go to her for advice. She has the best retention rate of any clients that I've had in a long time.
There's nothing startling in there.
No, it never should be.
But that's the point, isn't it? It's just everything in there was a good reminder. It's a good kind of crystallization of ideas. Everything in my head, I'm like, oh, what is that? Oh, okay.
I've got a friend who's a futurologist, okay, and every time I hear him talk, he says everything we know already. He just pitches it a different way. Sounds more exciting. Sounds a bit more innovative. Sounds a bit smarter. But actually, when you boil it down, what we do is a very simple process. A client gives us a brief. We find a candidate. We match the culture, the experience, and the personality to the job. That's it. But unfortunately, we've got two individuals that can have bad days, that think differently, change their mind. That's the intangibles of our job. So the more communication we get with candidates and clients, the easier it is for us to find the perfect person.
I'm with you. Life gets in the way sometimes, doesn't it?
Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, let me tell you. If you're listening via a podcast platform, thank you for tuning in to Mira Business FM. So the next point with you is your latest. Is this out yet, by the way?
No,
It's not out.
Hot off
This
the
is-
press.
It's not even on a press. Is it?
It's in Manuri's box of tricks at the moment. She's about to.
Is it really?
Yeah, Manuri's going to post it, I think, in the next week or so.
Oh, okay. So should we not talk about this?
No, go for it. I
Oh,
always
that's
tell you.
good.
We basically, what we do with our blogs is we bank them. So whenever we have an interesting article we want to write, we write it, and then Manuri posts it when she thinks it's right.
When she thinks she can get away with it.
She loves doing it. She loves doing the pictures as well.
Love it. Well, it's interesting this because, and you gave me, I don't know if you can talk about the example, or you could talk about it in general terms, really,
Yeah.
because it's a good example. But the headline of this blog is this: culture over cash, the new deal breaker in hiring. So money used to win the talent war, but it doesn't do it anymore.
No, and I think this is, and again, it's difficult for people to hear who's searching for a job and can't find a job, but the reality is I have a friend who had two offers, very senior person in the commercial world. One was paying at least 25,000 dirhams more than her current package.
A monthly,
Yeah,
25,000
she's
as well.
very senior.
That's-
She's like a chief exec level.
Right.
So she's in a unique situation where she doesn't need to move. Money is not the massive driver. What is a driver is culture, opportunity, empowerment, and the chance to make a difference in a company. She turned down a role that was paying her 20,000 more than the current offer because the culture in the place she's gone to now is better. There's flexibility at work. There's more opportunity. She's been given a very clear career path of where she'll go in the next 2 years. And the person she's reporting to spent a lot of time during the interview process getting to know her.
Okay, and that really swayed her, obviously.
The other one is a huge company, decent business, no flexibility. She met the boss for half an hour, who she'd be reporting to, and she didn't connect.
And see, for most people listening, this is a salary level above most of the
people,
likes
yeah,
of us.
including me.
20,000 dirhams is
It's a salary of a normal person.
Well,
yeah.
it is, yeah, exactly. And you're willing to do that.
She
It's
is
that important.
She is a chief exec level role,
Yeah.
so she is a person that can affect the bottom line by 10 to 100 times that figure easily.
Right.
So she's a valuable asset to a company. So she's in scarce supply at the moment. She's a bottom line commercial person.
You point out in the article, this is not just Gen Z idealism. This was not like a knee-jerk reaction. This is a genuine. It would not fill me with delight. I wouldn't be feeding my soul to go and work at.
I think, and I'm not in this situation, probably nor are you, but I've never been in a situation where I've had the ability to turn down 20 grand increase.
No.
But the reality is, money is good because it solves a lot of problems day to day. And I think when you get to her level, it sounds a lot of money, but it isn't. Because what's important to her is, can she do her job properly? Are there opportunities? Does she connect with the leadership team? Does she see herself there in 5 years' time? As you get older in your career, you're looking at the end of your career at some point. And there is the glide path back down to that. Now, most people who are around their 50s, They probably work till they're about 60, 65 these days. If you're in UK, it's like 102, I think, because the pension doesn't cut in until then. I think your bus pass is like 400 now. But you look at your glide path, and what you want to do is, around about your 50s, you need to be at the peak of your experience. This is when you're hitting your chief exec role, you're head of HR, head of marketing, head of sales, and you're really, your knowledge is kicking in, your management experience is kicking in, your network's kicking in. You've got 5 to 10 years of really going for it on that period of time.
No, that's fair. But you also argue, and let me just find the quote here. This isn't just Gen Z idealism. It's showing up across every age group and seniority level as well. So this is not just something you're seeing from somebody who has some money, has maybe a little bit of there's a bit of reserve in that tank, isn't there? So, and is in that fortunate position to be able to make what to most of us would be a very difficult choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
More than most. But you're seeing this across, kind of across the board.
I think
That's interesting.
less so at the junior end, because at the junior end, it's almost subsistence living to a degree sometimes in Dubai.
Sure.
Because of the rents, etc., and the cost of living.
No, I get that.
But if you look at, I look at Maniri, our intern, who's now a full-time marketing person with us. She chose to come back to us from a big multinational who were paying her more. The reason she did that, she wasn't listened to. She didn't fit in. She was just left alone. She wasn't managed. She wasn't given a goal or anything. And she said, and her last bit, she didn't feel part of the culture. Now, Maniri is very much part of our culture. She's given the opportunity to really develop and grow. We'll probably keep her 2 years, and then she'll go on to something bigger and better.
Right.
But because we listened to her, we understood her, and we gave her a challenge, and we gave her respect, and we gave her the thanks for doing good things. She didn't get that in the last company.
I mean, if you're lucky, you get to do what you like to do. You get to do what you're supposed to do, maybe.
Really? I don't know if many people do you?
Maybe they don't, but if you're lucky, and if you have the opportunity to do that, then you're fortunate. But also, that makes your life better, I suppose.
Well,
I mean, why get out of bed if you don't like going to work?
Look, and this is the 85 bit, by the way.
Yes.
So somebody said to me, do you enjoy being a recruiter? And I said, I love being a recruiter. Do I enjoy running a business? Not so much anymore. And I've been very open with you about that.
Yeah.
But I've got really good people, so my job of running the business is relatively easy. But I remember when it wasn't, I just didn't enjoy it. So some days I'd walk in and go, I don't enjoy doing this. And then I'd go meet a client, a really good candidate, and my day would flip around the other way. I genuinely really enjoy being a recruiter, and I love talking to clients, love talking to candidates. Very basic level.
You've got to play to your strengths, haven't you? And you're never going to like everything.
No.
But if you can at least get through having to sit in accounts and do whatever it was you didn't enjoy
the bad
doing.
days, yeah.
And having to work on credit control, whatever it is that was tough.
I have bad days when I've got a candidate up for a final meeting and the candidate said they're going to accept it, we get them an offer and they turn it down. To me, that's a bad day. I've let a client down and a candidate down. Yeah. So I come out of that feeling, pretty low because I think I can do this really well. I know all the answers. The answer is you don't know all the answers. You have to just keep learning and understanding, should I have listened better? Did I not gauge that properly? What went wrong? You have to self-analyze.
Okay. We're talking about culture over cash. Is that more important? David McKenzie arguing that maybe, with a lot of people, it is. Did the pandemic change that? Because we went from this, you're in the office 9 to 5, or you're at a particular place for a certain number of hours, and that's what you do. There's the potential drudgery of that. And all of a sudden, everything changed. You're at home, you're on your laptop, and you feel it was a completely different feeling.
Yeah, it changed our industry massively.
Yeah.
I think candidates were very happy to be in a job. And I think there was more loyalty to companies then who looked after them and treated them properly.
Right.
But like everything in the Middle East, that changes in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it moves quickly here, doesn't it? Yeah.
And in many ways, if somebody comes and offers you, the thing is, if somebody comes and offers you 3 times more than you think you're worth, you know what you're worth. Be cautious. There's a reason why they're doing that.
Yeah, okay. So it's going to be a high-stress environment. It's going to be
Short
difficult.
term might be. They want
Short-term
you to
or-
fill a short. They might want to take you out the market because you're a a good person doing this, and they want to take you away from the competitor and bring you into theirs. Could be anything.
Nobody can work with the boss man, so they
Exactly.
or boss woman, I suppose. All right then.
Get advice. Whenever you get those situations, ask people's advice.
Yeah. Okay. What define culture in a company?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
It's a difficult one, isn't it?
How would I define culture in my
Yeah.
company? I look at it. Do people feel valued as individuals in my company? Hopefully, most of the time they do. Sometimes they don't when they do something wrong. But then how do we treat them when they do something wrong? Do we just scold them? No, the answer is right. We need to get you to learn from what you did wrong so you don't make that mistake again, and don't make you feel bad, because everyone makes mistakes. And I think the problem with some companies here is there's very much I will tell you to do this and you just do it. And I think that's a bad culture. You have to be listened to, you have to be valued, you have to be respected in your workplace, but you also, as an individual, have to work hard.
Is environment part of that? Do you know what? Why I ask you that? I was at In5 Tech yesterday in Knowledge Village, and it's an incubator type place, and you can work, for a couple of hours there, or take space or whatever. And I walked in, and there was immediately this. It's a very different environment. I don't work in that environment. It's a very different thing to experience. And I wandered through, and there's little food stands and a little cafe, and there were these little single booths, like isolation booths that people are in working.
Teams booths.
Yeah, and it just felt very different, kind of refreshing to be there. How much is environment part of culture in an organisation? Because companies spend fortunes kitting out offices in a certain way, bringing in consultants to tell them how to do that.
It's interesting. You go back to COVID, there are people that hate working in the office because they're introverts. They like to be at home,
Sure.
Very comfortable in their space. And I think COVID taught that those people have a place in the world and they can just do it. I think culture is a very important thing. One thing I like about our office is very open. We've got a pool table, we've got a breakout area, we've got sound booth, but they're quite big. You can make individual calls in there to clients and things. So, and I like it. Our radio's on in our office, but also people chat about what's the latest series on Netflix. There's a relaxed culture, but when we get down to it, all of us work hard because we have targets. So I like to think that, let's say, 80, 90% of my people are working all the time. Some aren't.
So you're not the traditional kind of tower. Have you ever seen that? What's that show, 30 Rock, where Alec Baldwin's at the top, sat behind the desk?
You know what? I have the worst. We're open plan. I sit with my team.
Yeah.
And I'm very much part of the team. There's no offices. There's no hierarchy. We're a very flat company, and everyone can say something to me and talk to me and stuff like that, but I'm not the traditional MD. And I believe that I still go and see clients, so I like people to learn off what I do, and I like to transfer my skills across.
You still like doing what you're doing as well.
I love doing what I really like being a recruiter. I like the whole aspect of meeting clients. I love getting people into good jobs. I love keeping in contact with my clients. I bumped into somebody here, by the way, I hadn't seen for 20 years. It was Angie,
in the office here?
Yeah, she's a PR agency lady. She goes, David McKenzie. I went, oh my God, I haven't seen you for 20 years.
Wow. We're bringing people together.
I know, but I
didn't know that.
But I love that about here because I've been here so long. It's really nice when people reach out and go, David, I haven't spoken to you for like 5 or 6 years. Like I was having dinner with my wife the other day, and one of my old clients came and said, David, I'm really sorry. I went, Rashid, how are you, mate? He said, well, you remember me? I said, yeah, you're a great client. And he was a lovely guy. So I love all that sort of stuff. But I'm an extrovert, and I know that.
Oh, I know. I have noticed. We've got a couple of minutes left. I'm just looking through the rest of your article, which I'm kind of reading while I'm looking through it. But people are looking, candidates are looking for 3 specific things. I like this. Not ping pong tables or free snacks. Although that for me would go a long way. I've got to say, free coffee and ping pong.
Well, did you have camel milk out there the other day, didn't you?
We do have some.
You know what? I really like that.
Did you enjoy it?
I had
It's a tang to it, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a
I
little
had the
tang.
chocolate and I had the camel milk and I had the ice cream.
Did some of the ice cream?
Well, got to be honest, my dog ate most of the ice cream, but
Well, as long as it was enjoyed, that's the key, isn't it? Really. Should dogs eat ice cream? Dogs shouldn't eat chocolate, should they?
no, she didn't eat chocolate. Ice cream's all right.
Ice cream's all right.
Unfortunately, it does.
Yeah,
anyway.
we don't need to follow this down this path, do we? That's fine. People are looking for 3 specific things. A positive culture. We've talked quite a lot about culture there. A lower salary feels like freedom when you're trusted. And a higher one feels like a cage when you're just not listened to. That's a good phrase.
That's really good, actually. Yeah, I
is good.
completely.
You wrote that.
You know why?
Why?
I'm like the Morgan Freeman of the recruitment world, aren't I? Trusted, loved, on every single silver screen.
Oh, let me tell you. Another one, boundaries that stick. Managers who say, log off, it's 5 p.m. Not ones who glorify the work all night culture.
That's a point I've reiterated. I keep banging on about this all the time. Is my guys get in at 8:30. We have rigid hours. At 5:30, I'm expecting them to leave that office and go and spend time with their families. Very few people stay beyond 5:30 in my office. I don't have an issue. I do. Some of the senior people do. I don't expect anyone to be here past 5:30.
And you're not watching, there's no sort of, you left at 5:31, you left at 5:30.
Honestly,
that happens a lot.
My guys, literally, I could look at my watch when they leave. But I don't, to me, there's got to be life outside work. Like, I'm an athlete. I do stuff in the morning. So I get up at 5 and I run and I gym, etc. But some people do it at the back end of the day. They've got dogs or they've got kids or they've got, I want them to have a life outside of MJ because it makes their life in MJ more enjoyable. And there's more to talk about. There's more to engage with people on.
Yeah. And that's much more important than a lot of people give credit to, I think, give credence to.
Yeah.
The last thing that people are really looking for is a mission that matters. They want to build something real, not just make shareholders richer. That's a nice thing to do. Of course it is, but it's got to mean something.
I think it has. And I think one of the good things about my business is it's all about people. It's lovely when you place somebody in a job and they really appreciate it. It's more important when 2 years' time you go back to them. How's it going? I love this job. That to me fills me with pride. I'm so pleased when I speak to people like that. It makes me realize what I do is actually making a difference to people. And I'm not solving world peace or I'm not curing cancer, but I'm just getting a person a job they love, which means they can earn money, they can support their family, and they can grow as an individual.
It's a pretty decent contribution, though, isn't it? There must be a feel-good factor in that.
There is. It really is. You talk to any recruiter who's probably a bit older. Part of what they do is because they have an immense value in making people happy in their roles and their careers.
It's easy to be cynical about that, I think, but for a lot of people, you do something for a long time, you put a lot into it, there has to be some
I'm cynical about loads of things. The one thing I'm not is cynical about people's happiness. I think I can't guarantee the job I place you in will be the job you'll love.
Yeah.
What I can do is guarantee that it will be the right move for you because the dialogue we have means that I've found the right place for you. And the ultimate success for me is when I speak to you in 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 10 years. David, thanks so much for placing me. I loved it.
As well, when a client comes up to you 5 or 6 years down the line, or you run into somebody 20 years later.
Give you an example. There's a lady called Eloise, who's one of my clients, messaged me after 2 years. We did some really good work for 2 years. She messaged me back, can I buy you a coffee? You're my favorite recruiter. I've got a really good job for you. I loved how we worked before.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
That makes me feel good about my job.
Yeah, nothing like good word of mouth, is
Exactly,
there, I think. That's pretty much it. That's all the time we've got. David McKenzie is the MD of McKenzie Jones. I'm getting this right now. I'm not calling you a CEO now, because you're not keen.
Call me what you want. I don't mind.
Well, what about this?
What?
You are the kingpin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Warhorse? I loved Warhorse.
Yeah, well, that's Christmas.
Oh,
Yeah.
why has Warhorse got to do with Christmas?
It's just a special festive period way to address you. I don't know. Best I could do at short notice.
Goodness me.
There you go. Thanks for coming.
A pleasure. Thank you very much.
Don't forget, this interview is going to be uploaded. It will be available today on our YouTube channel. It will be on LinkedIn. There'll be clips on Instagram as well. This is Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio. Mira Business FM, where business comes to talk. Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
This is Mira Business FM. Good morning to you. Is Dubai Islands the next Palm Jumeirah? There's a question. It's quickly becoming one of the hottest names in real estate. There's no doubt about that. Branded residences are giving fresh investor buzz to it as well. Grovey developers have now partnered with Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, and they're launching Ramada Residences by Wyndham. Joining us this morning, Abhishek Jalan's the CEO of Grovey Developers, here to talk about why global brands are betting big on Dubai's newest waterfront hotspots. Abhishek, it's good to see you.
Hi, Tim. Thank you. Good to see you as well.
Welcome back to the studio. It's been a while. So, Dubai Islands talked about as the next big real estate destination. What's driving the buzz?
Well, Dubai essentially became famous in terms of tourism because of the beaches. So, if you look at Dubai Island itself, then we are having about 21 kilometers of beach. Now, the thing is, if you look at Palm is a great tourist destination. Dubai Island is a smaller version of the Palm. I mean, it's not shaped as a Palm, but essentially it's an island community.
Sure.
And the most interesting thing about Dubai Island is all these plots in Dubai Island are significantly smaller in size compared to Palm. So the time it takes to deliver that is much lesser compared to, how much time it took for Palm.
Yeah.
So when the community itself is developed to, let's say, 70-75%, it's going to be a great community to live as a tourist, to live as a, as a family over there, because you will have access to beaches, you will have access to leisure facilities. They have 2 golf courses coming over there. Nakheel has come in now doing developments and building Island B, which is great, because when Nakheel comes in, they will do large communities over there. So yeah, I think Dubai Island going forward is going to be the new Palm, maybe even better, because newer is generally better. There's better designs, there's better facilities, there's better infrastructure. So I think all those things will definitely have an impact.
We kind of iron out the kinks of the things that maybe didn't work as well the previous time. No, I mean, it's an upgrade. And, waterfront living is, that's pretty special, isn't it? It's kind of Dubai's jewel in the crown, I suppose. Plus, what we didn't have at the time of the Palm was the added kind of gloss of the branded residence thing.
True. So when we look at Palm, we don't have a lot of branded residents. We have a lot of hotels over there.
That's right.
So now branded residence brings a different perspective to the whole thing, because obviously when it's a branded residence, you are living in a residential building, but it's managed by, let's say, a hospitality brand.
Yeah.
So when that happens, you are living in your apartment, but you get services from a hotel.
Yeah.
So you kind of upgrade the normal residential feeling, and then you move into a community. So it's not like you are living in a hotel, but you do get a lot of services from a hotel, and you can choose them. That, okay, fine, I want a certain service within the hotel. I want a spa service. I want a room cleaning service. So all these amenities are available. And the biggest benefit that happens with the branded residence, because So I'm going to talk about hospitality. When a hospitality brand comes in, how it adds value to the property itself. So buildings are managed by owners associations.
Sure.
Now, as Grovey, it is very, it's inbuilt in our DNA that we want to build properties which hold value over the long run. And the whole idea of having a branded residence makes sense for us because we have more than 20 amenities in the building. So now when a branded residence comes in, so they're going to make sure those amenities are being maintained because they're charging a fee for that. And when those amenities are maintained at a hotel grade level, then you maintain the long-term value of the asset. So it works very well with our thought process. Why we are in the business, we are able to bring in a brand, we are able to maintain the whole value of the property for a longer duration.
It's a guarantee of quality for you, isn't
100%.
it? Essentially. Okay. Your recent signing event was packed. It was standing room only at a time when this has been a tough couple of months. We're in a market where buyers are increasingly selective. What was it about Ramada by Wyndham that was right for now?
Well, so as I said, Grovey, why we are in the business is to create wealth and deliver value to our customers.
Well, you could have done that with just a residential tower, couldn't you? I mean,
True. But the primary reason why we brought in a hospitality brand and Wyndham on board for this is because, as I said, we have a lot of amenities in the buildings. Now, when we hand over to an owners association and we move on from that building, we realize that those assets are not generally maintained the way we want it to be maintained. Right. So as a typical residential building, we would look at 5 to 7 services in a building, which are usable by the residents. So some of our projects, we have delivered your paddle courts, we have kids play area, pool, gym. These are all typical services. Now, when we want to bring in something different, so we have aqua gym over here, we have golf simulators over here, we have outdoor cinemas, we have pool bar area, we have outdoor kids play area, calisthenics gym, indoor gym. So when we bring in a lot of services, we want someone to come and make sure that they are managing the property very well. They are making sure that those amenities are being used and usable, maintained in a way that they are, continue to remain usable. Because if you go to these buildings, you have a pool table, you would not be playing pool because you would not find the balls, you would not find the cue sticks. I mean, something as simple as that.
That is so true. Yeah, where I live, exactly.
Yeah, so you will have, let's say, table tennis is easier because you can have your own rackets and balls, but obviously for pool you won't have that. For golf simulators, you need to operate the system. There won't be anyone to tell you how to operate the system.
Right.
You have the barbecue area. You see in majority buildings you have the barbecue areas. Have you seen anyone using those barbecue services? It's very unlikely.
You make a good point, actually. But it's these little things, isn't it, that just add another level.
Correct. And hospitality brands makes sense for us because they have been in the business of operating buildings. They understand how to run a building. Wyndham itself is the largest operator of hotels and branded residents in the world. They have about 8,500 or 9,000 plus apartments under maintenance. So they are one of the largest in the world.
Right.
And it just made sense. I mean, the whole discussion that we had with Wyndham was for less than half an hour before we took a call. We said, well, this makes sense because you come in on board, you make sure that the asset value is maintained. And that's why we are in business. So, the whole thing was really quick.
It makes sense, Abhishek, because anybody who can make sure that the cue ball is there when I'm playing pool, then, I'm happy. On a more serious note, though, it's interesting to me, and I wonder if you can comment on this, investor demand at the launch event, and I'm going to use the phrase that we all use all the time, it must have exceeded expectations for you guys, I guess. So what does that say about the market?
Well, there are cycles in the market. We were expecting a slight correction in the market. And out of these corrections, there's always recoveries. So there was a phase where, there was a lot of panic in the market. We saw people, as you mentioned, we were having this discussion, cars are abandoned. All that has reduced. Yes, it has had an impact on the economy. Things are not the best. It is getting better. But again, this cleans the system as well. It brings in better competition in the market. And it is required for any economic cycle. You need to have an ups and downs. You need to have a cycle movement happening. You need to have things rotation in the market. So from that perspective, we are seeing demand coming back in the market. Obviously, price point is important. Payment plans are important for investors and end customers. And it's really the thought process that goes into the whole thing. I mean, if a certain investor has a certain thought process that aligns with us, I mean, it's a no-brainer for them. People are able to take a call rather quickly. But yeah, things are moving in the right direction. Volumes are down, but we are seeing momentum coming back in the market.
Okay. We've seen some real success areas in Dubai. You've mentioned the Palm. Let's look at something completely different. JVC, where you've delivered projects speedily as well. Dubai Islands is a very different beast, clearly. Coastal Master Plan tied to the 2040 Urban Master Plan. What makes it different? Because it's a hotspot. Everybody's talking about it. What makes it different to other waterfront developments, do you think?
So we don't have a lot of new communities in Dubai, which are specifically island communities. So when it's an island community, technically, the whole island has access to the ocean or the beaches. When it's a community in Jumeirah, then we have a lot of these as a freehold, leasehold communities. So when we get these pockets for development, and these pockets are not large developments, they're all very mid-size or even smaller developments. Now, when that happens, the success rate already goes up. You have a lot of competition coming in the market. So that gives a diversified pool for investors to choose what they want to go for. So I think those advantages is why these communities start picking up rather quickly. So now if you look at, again, coming back to Palm, when you look at the Palm, there are very large developments over there.
Yeah.
The risk appetite is quite large over there. The risk of failure is also quite large over there. So when you come into smaller communities like Dubai Island, we look at Maritime City as well. These are again larger developments. You'll see the larger players coming into the market over there. But in Dubai Island, you will have multiple players coming into the market. Now, again, the failure risk reduces significantly.
Sure. And I guess you can be a little bit different as well.
So we do experiment in our developments, and we make sure we try to bring in some unique layouts. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4-bedroom apartments. I don't know a lot of developers building 4-bedroom apartments, especially in branded residence. So we are able to experiment with that, and we understand that there is demand for products, larger apartments, larger sizes, open spaces. So all of these are again possible because we are able to experiment and because the sizes are manageable. So I think Dubai Island in general is a better community compared to a waterfront community, and newer developments are always, as you rightly mentioned, the mistakes are rectified, and you learn from what you have done previously, and you try to rectify them in the going forward.
Sure. And I guess if you rectify or iron out the kinks, if you like, of the things that maybe weren't so great. Once that's done, you've got a foundation there that you can be a little bit more adventurous with.
Yeah, and there's always room for error. Yeah. But as you mentioned, we always fix them while we move ahead, which is very normal.
So you're scaling into and expanding really into brand luxury.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
This is the Morning Drive at Mira Business FM. Essential insurance policies, how to protect your assets in the UAE. That's what we're going to be talking about. James Thomas is here. He is an independent financial consultant, a financial planner, a financial advisor, and appropriately licensed too. Welcome.
Good morning. What an introduction.
I was trying to think of more.
I'm going to say that's 3 or 4 titles. I've probably been called worse, but I'll take those.
I bet you've been called worse in your time, unfortunately. Nice to see you. So look,
Likewise.
here's the... I was reading an article in Khalij Times, and it's a financial planner, and it's one of those things. One of the things we're talking to you is very regular. We go over a lot of the same ground a lot, I think. There is a reason for that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
No, we do. Yep.
Because you have to do it. Because, things... obviously, the crux of what you do doesn't really change.
Precisely. And I think that's key. Yeah. What we do...
It's a reminder.
It's a reminder. While everyone's circumstances are different, the fundamentals are the same.
That's the word I was looking for. Fundamentals, protect and grow. Exactly right. So this is an article we haven't really talked about insurance and the things that you need to think about, the insurances that you need to have, depending on where you are in life. We haven't talked about it for a while. Here's the headline of the article. Insurance isn't about making money, it's about protecting your life from financial disaster. And this is a finance guru who writes in Khalij Times, I think it's a weekly thing, called Suze Orman. I think she's from the US. But this applies across the board in the same way. And it comes from a question I think they received, and I think she's responding to a question from a reader. What insurance policies are essential to have in the UAE? Health, car, life, home, any others? And how do I determine the right coverage and provider? So there's a lot in there to unpack.
Huge amount. We'll start with the title, if we may. I mean, not about making money. I mean, I think that's a very key point to focus on, because people get obsessed, dare I say, with the making of money. So the latest and greatest, be it crypto, be it gold, be it whatever it might be. But if you haven't got that foundation in place, the fundamentals sorted, i.e. protecting your life from the worst, and all the other things that you've just listed there, then no matter how much money, unless you make millions and millions, none of it becomes largely irrelevant, because you need to have those fundamentals in place first before you think about them moving forward.
I was thinking about this. There's another way of looking at insurance. Wise man told me, I've said this already this morning, but you know who told me this, insurance, total waste of money until you need it.
Exactly.
Which is a great phrase, and that kind of brought it home to me. But there's another way of looking at insurance, it occurs to me, that sometimes you have to spend to make.
Yes.
Okay? You've got to invest, and hopefully that money comes back with that little bit more on top with your profit. And you can look at insurance that way, I think, that, I've made sure that this is sorted. If this happens, this insurance will count for this. And that allows you the kind of breathing space to go off and, make your money, because you've got the foundation there.
Exactly. If you've put those key pillars in place, then you know that whatever you do going forward can be used to make that money, to grow, to perhaps take a little bit more risk, to take a bit more long-term view, because everything else is then sorted. You're not going to have to call upon it in case you have a car crash, in case you suffer a critical illness, in case you lose your suitcase where you're traveling, whatever the insurance is for,
absolutely right,
know that is protected, and therefore the money that you're committing to investing is purely for that purpose.
Well, that's right. I don't know if I told you this. I think I may have told you this, but I have a friend who was diagnosed with something recently, and she'd literally forgotten, I wonder if this covers this, had a critical illness policy that was running and had just been running kind of in the background.
Yep.
For years.
Doing exactly what as you say, a waste of money until,
Exactly right. And it has paid out. And paid out a substantial amount of money, which will make a huge difference.
I'm cautious to say great, but it is in the sense that the policy has done exactly what it said it would do.
Well, that's right. I mean, fortunately, this is not a terminal diagnosis. It will be an illness, a condition that will affect her later down the road. But
the fact is that the critical illness, there's 35 conditions that are laid out, clearly stated, clearly defined at the point that you apply for that policy.
Yeah.
Dependent on the cover and various other things, you may or may not have to complete a medical. And I always say that's actually a good thing, because you're getting a free health check. But assuming everything is fine, you have the policy. Assuming you pay the premium for the term that you've agreed, you are covered. And that is a prime example, one of those situations where something comes out of the blue, because obviously none of us expect or hope that we're going to be diagnosed with something, but sadly, it's all too frequent.
It happens.
Yeah. And then you speak to your insurance company, send them the doctor's report. 10 days later, there's a big chunk of cash in the bank, which you can either use as you wish, but for maybe treatment, maybe just to take a year off work so that you can just focus on getting healthy again, whatever it might be. But that's what it's designed to do, and that's what it does.
That's right. So the issue is with insurance, too many people, and this is what the financial guru argues in this article, and I think this is a good point, either buy too little or buy the wrong kinds. Okay, and I think that's probably true. The key is understanding which risks could derail your financial life and you need to protect against those first. And I suppose the best place to start is health insurance. Obviously, I guess the most important protection you could have.
Yes.
Good.
I mean,
I thought you were going to disagree with me there. What could you argue?
Equal footing with life insurance.
I suppose so, yeah.
But from a life point of view, that makes sense. It is the most important.
I like what you did there as well. That was good.
Yeah, good one there.
Yeah.
But in the sense that for you personally, because sadly with life insurance, if a claim is made, you're no longer there. So it's protecting your loved ones that you leave behind. But in the UAE, or anywhere in the world, but certainly here where there's no or very little assistance, you're on your own. So therefore, medical insurance, health insurance is absolutely vital.
Yeah. And medical costs can go up pretty fast.
And medical costs, as I explained to a lot of people here, while the standard of care is world class, and obviously the authorities here do a brilliant job in making sure that the facilities, the professionals that work there are all to the highest possible standard. With that comes an expense. They are very costly. Some would argue certainly up there with the US, or if not quite that high, but in that league, the cost of medical care. So when I often get asked, can I just have UAE only cover? I said, well, yeah, of course you can, but actually that doesn't make a big difference to the premium because the cost of the care here is that much more expensive.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
We're getting quite technical, but yes, but to take a step back, absolutely, because what do we want to happen? We're diagnosed, or rather we feel unwell, we go to our GP, our general practitioner. They may or may not know what the condition is to start with, but what are they going to ask or suggest, recommend? Series of tests. So then you lead down that, is it an MRI? Is it a CT scan? Is it this? Is it an X-ray? Whatever it might be, but there's a cost involved in all of that.
I got a recent example of this. I mean, my history is checkered medically over the last few years, but I have a pain in my left side, and I'm like, so I go to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, doesn't sound like much, but let's do so I have to do all of the tests under the sun. Turns out I pulled a muscle. In the end,
which is great, but
great, but
in the sense of
it kind of highlights everything you're saying. Yes. Costs can mount up very quickly, and I think when you look at health insurance, assuming that you're doing this yourself, it's not company offered as it very often is, but the point behind this is to look at coverage, to look at annual limits, to look at hospital or networks. Yes. You've got to do your research.
Again, we're drilling down into this, absolutely, because technical. It can be very technical.
Yeah.
Because of all the things that you've listed. Now, here in the UAE, there is a mandatory requirement from employers to offer their staff a certain level of cover. So, but that's the first thing to look at. When you join that company, can I have the terms and conditions, the table of benefits, as it's called, of the cover that I'm entitled to?
Sure, which should be freely available.
And I'm sure it will be. No, it's not. But how many people I've certainly come across, when you ask them that question, they haven't got a clue what their policy provides them.
Pretty big documents, aren't they? But
they can be. But there also can be just a
usually a single pager,
that just gives you the key benefits. What's outpatient cover? What's inpatient cover? What are the limits? Is there a copay, etc., etc. Just to give you at least a guide. Because then it leads on to the next question. Well, is it sufficient? Therefore, should I be looking at a top-up policy to make sure that I'm covering myself to the level that I'm happy with? Yes, it then comes out of your own pocket, but let's say the company has just met its minimum requirements to put to keep itself legal. Lots of companies go far beyond that, but that's until you investigate, you don't know. But okay, well, I want to go to a particular hospital. It's not included, or I want to make sure that there is no excess. Well, again, all these things can be addressed, but until you know what you've got to start with, it's very hard to satisfy those requirements, and of course that you don't want to find that out at the point that you actually need access to that healthcare.
And this is a dilemma as well, isn't it? Because it's not the easiest thing to do to sit and read an insurance document.
No,
for most of us,
it's not the most exciting
but
document.
you do need to do it. Is the point?
But again, it's one of those things that, as we frequently come back to, invest the time in your. This is you we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, we probably will whatever your passion, hobby, interest. You spend hours reading, playing, doing whatever it might be. But if you haven't got your health, suddenly that probably potentially becomes very difficult to do. So therefore, invest that half an hour, sit down with a cup of coffee, just have a read through, work out what you've got, or speak to someone like myself and we'll happily help you navigate that. And it may well be, as I say, that, yeah, brilliant, your company's got a great policy, nothing more required. But you've got that peace of mind to know.
But it's worth knowing where the trade-offs are. And it may be that the policy is fine and it fits most of the... But is there a trade-off that you're willing to make there?
Indeed.
Or is there a necessity for a top-up?
Yes.
As you've detailed. I mean, that's the point, isn't it?
I say, again, we're quite technical there and quite detailed. But again, it's just really to highlight the point that be aware. Know what you've got. Be prepared. As I say, in the Boy Scouts, be prepared. Because, as I say, we're talking about something so serious. And the friend that you mentioned there, you know, when they got diagnosed, the process to getting to that point even can be, like you've described, your pulled muscle. You know, but because
I didn't know there was a muscle there, to be honest with you. I was quite, how did that happen?
But be serious for a second, you know, with your history.
Yeah.
I'm sure that everyone's back of everyone's, well, is it this, is it that? Let's make sure that it's anything more untoward.
I mean, that's exactly the point. That's exactly what the general practitioner says. And I'm kind of resigned to the fact now that, you know, I do have a more checkered history probably than most people. So it's necessary to do those tests because I really don't want a recurrence of what I had. Unfortunately, so far, I haven't had it. So let's talk about life insurance.
Yep.
Here's what you need to do today. This is your mission. Should you choose to accept this, make life insurance interesting for me. Not fair. That's quite a low blow, I know. The thing is, okay, so we've ranked this so that medical insurance is first, but life insurance is on par. Of course it is. Essential, but essential really if anybody depends.
That's the key. Now, I would hope people do find it interesting, but I appreciate it's probably not the most, it's not the forefront of people's minds.
I'm playing to the stereotype here, playing to the room.
But as you quite rightly say, life insurance is for those that you leave behind.
Yes.
Your partner, your children, family, dependents.
Yeah.
So if you have none of those, then you probably don't need it.
It's certainly
It's
something...
certainly not as important in that
far less important, yeah.
as the health insurance. In that scenario, it is the health insurance by far is more important because you're protecting yourself.
Yeah.
Life insurance, as I say, if you have children, if you're married, if you have debt, mortgage debt, to make sure that should something happen to you, the people that you leave behind are not financially affected. As I always say, I can't control the emotions. That's unfortunately the tragedy of someone dying whenever that occurs. And again, we're talking about death, which people get very understandably not keen to talk about, shall we say. One's mortality is one of the hardest things to discuss.
Sure.
But equally, much like the health insurance, we don't think we're ever going to get ill. And sadly, we do. Some more serious than others. But knowing we have that cover in place, again, it's that you described that huge weight of your, sorry, not a huge weight, but that weight off your shoulders that you probably didn't even know was there. But once you were aware of it and you've put that cover in place, I think it's a very powerful result of actually having those discussions and implementing those things.
Well, see, I'm with you on that because I think it's a really hard thing to put into words because, we all deal with pressure in one way or another, in some way, every day. And there's always something on your shoulders. But I always kind of think that to make your life easier, if you can get rid of some of the pressure, then that lightening the load is an important thing. And that's what insurance does. And that's kind of the point of this conversation.
Yes.
With life insurance, there are 1,000,001 policies out there, and it's kind of, pick the one for you.
Yep.
But the question is, how do you pick the one? And what level of cover should you be looking at? Because in this article, there's a common guideline, and I wonder what you think of this. Roughly 10 to 15 times your annual income, adjusted for your family's needs, debts, and future expenses like education. Okay. Is that a sensible kind of benchmark, or what do you think?
Again, it's a very relatively brief article. So yes, and as a starting point, very much so.
Okay, so you take the amount of money you have, multiply it by 10 or 15, and that's the level of cover that...
When you're then talking to someone like myself, we can drill into much more detail, as they've started to allude to their family needs, debts that you have, education costs, for example. All of these factors can be built in. But I always say the flip side of that is, we could build a premium that suddenly turns into thousands of dirhams if you're not careful. And while if it's affordable, then great. But it also needs to be tempered with the flip side is the affordability of that premium.
Okay.
So, yes, if that number comes out and it's still a very manageable number, then great. Because again, it's not particularly funny, but you never meet a widow or widower who complained that their husband or wife had too much cover.
No, that's true.
And it gets quite a dark joke. But the point being, the money that you're able to leave to your loved ones is so valuable that the more that you can leave for them, the better.
Makes a great deal of sense.
But that is always, as I say, always balanced by what does it cost? Because if the premium is 50% of your salary, then clearly that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
But if it's, I would say 1 to 5, maybe up to 10% of your income is utilised for this sort of thing, then that's the level that I would be suggesting is a sensible amount to be considering allocating to your protection needs.
Okay. There's a line in this that I really like, and there's kind of a proviso or a warning almost that you should be very careful with complex investment style policies. They're expensive. They could be hard to understand. That's a given, and that again that's a research thing. That's you understanding. But here's the line that I liked.
Yep.
Insurance should protect your life, not become a confusing investment.
100%.
And I think that's really good.
But there is a legacy here of, and I'm not quite sure where it's come from, but it's been here as long as I have, that people try to mash together a savings vehicle and life insurance.
Well, that's kind of what this points to.
And that's what it's pointing to.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely, and I've always been a huge advocate, as you know, of protection for protection. So a term assurance, a very simple, much like your car, home, travel insurance policy, you just simply pay a premium and it covers you for the life insurance and nothing else.
Yeah.
The argument I've often had thrown back at me is, but isn't that a waste of money? But that then comes to your opening statement. It's a waste of money until such time that it's not. And then it's the most valuable thing you've ever put in place.
Yeah, for sure.
But I also say, with a pure, as we call term assurance, i.e. for a length of time, for a fixed amount of cover, you know what your premium's going to be for that period of time, so you can plan. The insurance company's not going to come knock in and say, well, the investments haven't performed as well as we thought or we'd hoped or we'd projected, therefore you're going to have to increase your premium to keep your cover in place, or we're going to have to make some adjustments or whatever it might be. No, none of that.
No.
And if we're then really drilling into this, why are we taking this out? Well, we want to protect ourselves. So therefore, just take out the protection, that you need to protect the amount of liability, future costs that you need to put in place. That premium is generally going to be a lot lower. So if something were to happen, loss of job, change of circumstances, that premium should remain affordable.
Yeah.
And then take out a savings plan, pension, retirement, whatever, call it what you will, for that purpose, rather than trying to join the two together and getting the worst of both worlds. And why I always say that, if something were to happen, well, you can put the retirement planning on hold for a few months. Yes, it's not ideal, but your retirement planning can be made up in the future when circumstances improve.
The point is you can.
You can.
Yeah.
But then you can keep that life cover in place, because always the concern, circumstances change, you stop paying and you then lose both your savings and your life insurance.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the law of Murphy, let's be the polite word, something happens and you haven't got any cover.
That's right. It's the KISS principle, isn't it?
Yes. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely right. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Mira Business FM from Dubai, from on just off Sakim Street as well, to be precise. That's life insurance.
Yep.
Car insurance, mandatory in the UAE. If you're driving around, you have insurance, or you should have insurance in your car. But I wanted to just run through very quickly the choice that you make between third-party liability and comprehensive cover.
Yep.
So there you go. Make that interesting, James
dear.
Thomas.
Well, very simply, third party, you're protecting someone if you were to crash into them,
Yes.
but not your own vehicle. Whereas comprehensive protects both parties.
There you
It's
go.
the simple analogy. And then obviously within comprehensive, dependent on the age of the vehicle, you can have agency cover, which people seem to pay a huge premium for, versus the insurance company's preferred garage.
or whatever it
Yes.
is, yeah.
But in my experience, that can often be one and the same place.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of agencies, as they call them, well, certainly any manufacturer's facility that I've been to, they only do mechanical work, servicing. They don't have, some do, but some will then have their own preferred garages for
It's like a body shop.
body shops.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
And they can, as I say, often
So it will be farmed out to the same place anyway.
Could be farmed out to the
That's
same
interesting.
place.
All right. So I
Just
guess
as a little, especially if the car gets older and they're not quite so valuable,
Yeah.
just be conscious that you're actually paying for something that you may end up in the same place.
that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that, and I guess that's kind of applies when a car's out of warranty. If a car's in warranty, then
Yeah.
it makes sense to.
Indeed.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. And the usual kind of standards apply: check deductibles and coverage limits. And
Yeah, most of those
reputation of the
things.
insurer, I suppose, as well.
That would be something I would very much look at. Yes, it's while a lot of people just look at the cost, look at those other factors as well. Because again, if you want to make a claim, but you end up just arguing for months about what's covered, what's not, you're then without your car, you're probably paying for a hire car. Very quickly, you can end up paying way more than you would have done if you'd have just paid a few more dirhams and gone with a reputable insurance company.
And with a more reputable insurance company, there may be a higher car included.
And there may be a
isn't there?
higher car included,
At some point
indeed.
as well. All right then, so that's car insurance.
Yep.
Here's one that so many people don't have here, and I think there's been
Yes.
a change since the rains.
Yep.
Of what? Is it 2 years ago? It's 2 years ago now, isn't
April,
it?
yes.
April 2024, which was just a cataclysmic
Clearly,
event
yes.
here in the UAE. If you own property, or I mean, if you rent property, it doesn't really make any difference. But if you own property, home insurance protects the structure itself. If you rent, contents insurance, I would argue contents insurance is, well, it should just be mandatory. It should just be a thing, shouldn't it?
I think so.
But it is
It's
only
not.
just becoming a thing. Is
And
I think
it's
the
still
point.
very hugely underinsured.
Yeah.
I think coming from the UK, where sadly there's a lot more theft, break-ins, where we're very fortunate here in the UAE that while I'm sure there may be occasional break-ins, it's a very rare occurrence.
Sure.
So the people is quite, dare I say, complacent. We don't need that cover. Well, suddenly when the roof has caved in and there's water pouring through and it's ruining all your personal possessions, or it's come through the door because, as we know, certain areas flooded.
Yeah.
All of these things are then covered. And the repairs are, well, again, that's where it crosses over to the home insurance, which is, I would argue, even if you're renting, I don't know, it should be the responsibility of the landlord, but for the sake of a few dirhams, I would be inclined to take both, because where is the boundary? You know, your furniture it's usually things that can come in and out of the house.
Yeah.
However, when you've got a metre of water indoors and then they're arguing about kitchen cupboards, and again, it's just that peace of mind to know, well, I know that this house can be, and you, as I say, that then becomes very much a personal choice. Yes, it should be the landlord's responsibility, but it comes back much like the car insurance. For a few more dirhams, peace of mind. It's always that's very much a personal choice.
I'm following and listening to you, and I'm kind of nodding along, and I see the argument, and I
you
also
shouldn't have to, but it's just, again, just for the making.
it makes a lot of sense. But with the contents insurance, for example, you think, well, what have I got that's really important? But if you did have a flood, and I think for a lot of people in the rains, it caused a great deal of
that's the sort of event,
great deal of harm,
yes,
if you like. But you've got, sofas to replace. You might have to replace, white goods in the kitchen, your fridge. You may have to replace a TV. All of a sudden,
you're at quite a chunky bill.
You do. That's exactly the point. It mounts up, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's so even the other side of this is it doesn't cost a great deal.
That's why I say
and even
about
modest
the two,
cover.
even for actually quite.
Well, it could be 100, 200 dirhams a year.
Yeah.
For a policy, for a home contents policy.
Yep.
So, it's not going to make a huge dent, I suppose.
No.
The final thing in the article, I think, was this, and it's something that I don't think we look at a lot. I mean, my guess would be, and I'm going to cast the net here, that most of us go onto some form of insurance aggregator, and you type in what policy you need, and then a lot of us would just be like, right, that's the cheapest, I'm going to tick that. But that's probably not what we should be doing. There's more research to do with that, an established name in the industry, or look at the customer service, maybe read the reviews.
Yeah, go to Trustpilot or some similar,
something like that.
There's you can glean some great information. Yes, of course. I'm casting aspersions, but you often will find people who've had a bad experience are more likely to report those. Again, against the vast majority who've had a great experience and are more than happy with the service. But nonetheless, it gives you a guide. But even things like travel insurance, right, before you just click go and say, or home insurance, whatever it might be, pull up again the table of benefits. Very dull, but see what is actually covered, because using the travel insurance, so is your luggage included? What is the delay time? What if you lose your passport? Again, I'm just throwing out a few things, but I've definitely seen different policies have different terms and conditions.
I nearly said there, what if you lose your traveller's checks? And I realised it wasn't 1986. So forget that. But you're right.
Your wallet, money.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
The one that always makes me chuckle, and I don't know why, and I hopefully we'll never have to call upon it, is the bail money. But it's often included.
Bail money's included? I've never seen that. Really?
Yeah. Again, it's just one of these quirks. You think, really? You include that? But
so if you were for some reason arrested in somewhere, whatever that was for, that's not the point of this discussion.
Some travel insurances cover bail money.
I didn't know that.
No. And again, this is where, I guess you can be wrongly arrested, but if you've been arrested, generally there's a reason behind it. But anyway, that's a whole different discussion. But I raise it just as a chuckle because when you look at the table of benefits, what on earth is that doing there? But it is on some policies.
It's not amusing, and I'm not trying to glorify this, but I just wonder if some people look at their policies like, I'm just reading the table of benefits. Oh, if I get arrested, that's great. That's what I'm looking for on my travel insurance policy.
I would hope
I'm sure that doesn't happen.
I'm sure the things above. But my point being is that there are differences between policies. You might think that a travel insurance policy is a travel insurance policy, and it's not. And for the same cost, you might have way more luggage allowance. You might have much bigger flight cancellation. So there's a cover for a hotel. That's the sort of things to be looking for. But the bail just always makes me chuckle. But the same with your health insurance and all of these things. What allowances are there? What are not? What are the excesses? That's a very common one to look at. Is it 500 dirhams? Is it 5,000 dirhams? Because certainly some parts of the travel insurance policy, they have vastly different excesses, and suddenly you think, well, actually, I'm going to be paying for the majority of that cost, so the policy becomes far less valuable to you.
That's a really good point, because very often you'll see the policy and think, oh, that's really reasonable, that's really cheap, but the fine print is that the excess will be hugely inflated.
Yes.
And there may be a way of just paying a little bit more to bring that right down.
Wherever it may be. The issues that have happened recently. I was talking to someone, they were stuck in Georgia. The flight home should have been, 3 or 4 hours. They ended up having to go to Istanbul, to Muscat, and then a taxi back to Dubai.
Right.
Turned into a 24-hour journey. Now, whether that's included in travel insurance or not, that's a different discussion. But my point being, some would cover that, some would not. And some would have allowances and some would have such high excesses that there would be no cover for you at all.
Yeah, for sure. So we were talking about travel insurance on this program this morning with another guest, and don't do what I have done a couple of times and remembered the travel insurance at the airport in the departure lounge and bought it online in the departure lounge.
Well, that's
do your research. It's still fine
better
to do, but at least
doing it once you got to your location, because of course it would be null and void.
Then it would be null and void, exactly. But the point of that is to think it through.
Think it through
a little bit better.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened a lot, but
no,
last year. For some reason.
Something else on your mind.
It skips your mind.
Yeah.
And that actually highlights a point, doesn't it? It really shouldn't. Choosing insurance is an important
I think
consider.
If we're not careful, it's insurance. But no, this is really important. And hopefully we have made it interesting enough that people do consider and make sure, again, it's just making sure you've got the right cover in the right amount of cover for you to make sure that should something happen, you're protected and to the level that you want to be covered.
And you don't need to worry about it.
And then you don't need to worry about it. It's done.
Get rid of the stress. I'm all for getting rid of the stress as much as we can.
Absolutely.
That's it for today. James Thomas is a licensed independent financial consultant. What were the other things I accused you of being at the start of this interview? I can't remember, but they're all good.
All good.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't mind any of them.
Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Likewise, thanks
Thanks for coming in. Don't forget to like, subscribe for more interviews like this. And if you liked today's discussion, make sure you share it and leave a comment. This is Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM, where business comes to talk.